Cool. So once again, guys and gals, welcome aboard today's call. And as you can see from the slide behind me, they're planning an epic 2016 is our topic today. And I'm actually on vacation, so I'm on a working vacation right now with my family, of course, for Christmas, and we're at our townhouse in the mountains of Oregon. So this location you're seeing right now is a little bit different than the office view that you all have when I'm normally in my office. So quick little tour. We have a ton of snow outside. Let me show you that really quick. Um, so we're in the southern Oregon mountains, and we have a townhouse that's a golf course out there, but you can't see. But we have a ton of snow, which is really exciting for us because we don't have that on the west side of Oregon. We don't get a whole lot of snow, so it's fun coming here with the family, getting the sled out, and getting to do those types of things. So that's where I'm at. I've got the warm fireplace next to me there, guys and gals, and we're ready to rock. So let's dive into some of the questions, see where people are from. Awesome, Wilbert. Yeah, it says warmed up. It looks like snow. Dan, great question. Says, Dan, how do I check my redirect settings? Man, the best way to check that right now, because this call, usually on our mastermind calls, Dan, we're going to dive into website stuff. This call is going to be dedicated 100% toward helping you crush 2016. And I want to make sure all of those distractions of those little things are off of our lap. So those types of things, go and hit up our live chat right now. They'd be able to help you with it. So go to oncarrot.com or log into your account, and one of our live chat representatives will be able to help you immediately on that. Okay, Dan? I'm just going to really zero in on today's topic with this. Awesome. Lawrence from Washington, D.C. Rich Scott says, live with the rich folk in South Orange County. Awesome, man. Kirby, Lansing, Michigan. He's a member. Beautiful Kirby. I recognize the name, of course. Greg from L.A. Beautiful. Another InvestorCarrot member. Awesome. Argus Philosophos. Hopefully I'm saying that right, man. I apologize if I butchered it, from Orlando. Fred Helm, InvestorCarrot member from Louisville. Jason Bartles, Carrot member from Minneapolis. Skylar, awesome, man. Fellow Oregonian from Salem. And a member, of course, Ashley Harrison, Charlotte. A bunch of people, guys. I'm not going to read up everyone's name because literally there are a ton of people, but a lot of people in their home offices. Kirby says home office will be celebrating Christmas with the 3 children's families who live in the area. Amazing, guys. So we're just going to go ahead and dive in. I'm going to delete some of these things here. So welcome aboard, everyone. I'm reading them all right now. Noah Lundble. There's a lot of people on here, which is amazing. I love it. It's going to be some great energy. So this is a cool one. So Fritz from the Philippines. Fritz is logging in here, a VA for a client. Last name Martin. And Darren from Seattle. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and dive in, guys and gals. There we go. So first of all, I'm going to keep, like I say, guys and gals, I'm going to keep the webcam open like this for most of the call. I really want to connect with you guys, and I wish I could see you guys as well. That'd be really cool, but with this technology, we can't. And if at any point during the call today, which this call is aimed at being about 60 minutes long, if you guys have questions, I'd love to dive into questions with you. And one thing I'm really passionate about with my role here at InvestorCarrot as we grow this company, the company now is almost 10 people strong. When we include our 2 amazing developers who have also hopped in and are working lots of hours with us. And we just hired another person. We're bringing on another person here shortly on the customer success side of the thing. So I've learned a lot this year. I've really had to grow a lot this year. As I've tackled new problems, new opportunities, and also challenged myself as a person and a leader to learn new things that are going to help me grow and help people around me grow. And one of the things I've really learned about myself these last 2 years is I'm insanely passionate about amplifying leaders. I'm insanely passionate about amplifying you guys. You guys who are on this call have already taken those first steps to be an entrepreneur, to want to do more and bigger things. Okay, and you guys are the ones who are going to be able to make that difference in your family. You guys are the ones who are going to be able to make that difference in your community, in the U.S., and the whole world if you want to, okay? And we can't do that unless we're crushing our planning for the year. Who on this call has already gone through and done a very detailed planning for 2016? And I don't want you to be shy. Those of you who have not, let me know that as well, because that's why we're on this call. But pop through the questions panel if you guys have already gone through a very detailed planning for 2016. I'm not saying taking down a piece of paper and writing down a couple goals. Okay, that's the way I used to do things, I'd get to the end of the year and I wouldn't really achieve what I wanted to do. I wouldn't really achieve what I set out on that piece of paper to achieve when I did it that way. But once I started doing it the way that I'm going to show you today, which it's a pretty involved process, but it is very, very simple. And I'll give you guys the download of these slides so you guys can take these slides and run with them, okay? And I'll give you guys a download of a template that you guys can use to put certain things for your goals on different spots in this paper. And some of the things I'm going to go over on today's call are honestly probably going to be pretty different than what you're doing right now. And some of these things in this call, you guys might be looking at and going, man, I'm already doing that thing. But I'm going to walk through my journey. I'm going to walk through what works for me. And I'm going to give you this massive disclaimer here that what works for me is not necessarily going to work for everyone. Okay. But I hope I can show you guys what works for me, and you guys can borrow the things out of this that resonate with you and that work for you. Okay. So Scott hasn't done his planning yet. Gregory, no. So most people, Philip, not a detailed plan, but discussed goals with partner wife. Awesome. So that's a first step. Okay. Greg, have not done planning for 2016. I'm excited about the session. Awesome, man. And Lawrence says, nope, unfortunately. So that's the reason we're having this call now. We're having this call right now before the end of the year so you guys can get that jump start, so you guys can head into the holidays with a massive amount of momentum and positive energy, okay? Because what I want you guys to do this week, if you celebrate Christmas, if you celebrate another holiday, amazing. If you don't celebrate the holidays, use this time as your time to really focus while everyone else is doing their thing with the holidays, okay? What I want you to do is come out of this week. I want you to make it to Sunday this week energized. I want you to make it through Christmas energized, or whatever holiday you celebrate, energized that next Christmas is going to be even better. Okay, energized that your new year, you're going into the new year with momentum. You're not looking back with angst at what 2015 did not fulfill for you. Okay, I want you guys to be excited going into January 1st, not feeling angst or worry or, oh my gosh, this last year did not go anywhere like I thought it would. Is this next year going to be the same? I do not want that, and that's what today's session is about. I'm going to go grab my pen and pad real quick. I left it on the couch. Okay, so this is probably 4 or 5 years back, and I'm going to walk through my story here in a bit, guys and gals, but this is probably 4 or 5 years back when I set the intention with my wife, because we grew up in a small town called Klamath Falls, Oregon. It's 30,000 people, and there's not a whole lot here. It's on the east side of the Cascades in Southern Oregon, so it gets a lot of snow, as you can see. And then we ended up moving to Portland, Oregon, and now we live in Roseburg, which is about 2.5 hours northwest of where I'm at now, just to give you some kind of context for where I'm at. And we set the intention 3-4 years ago. We said, you know what? We keep on coming back home because it's where our parents live for the holidays. And as our family grows, we have 3 kids right now, and we're done. We're done with the 3 kids. We love them to death. The most amazing blessings that we've had in our life, but we are done. So we can kind of move on to the next chapter. But we set the intention several years back. We said, you know what, we really want an amazing place for our family to come to when we come to Klamath Falls to visit our parents. We really want that place to call around. We really want to have that place and that experience where our kids can come when we're coming here and have this amazing place to grow up with. And once we set that intention that was one of the things that I put through this goal setting process several years back. And that intention turned into a beautiful home that we have now in this area. It's our vacation home. We rent it out a lot. It actually is an income producing property for us as well. We do make money on it every year, more than we spend on it, because I am an investor. So I'm not just going to sink money into something that's not an asset for us. But this property here, this blessing that we have came out of this process. Okay, and I'm going to walk you through that exact process. And there's been some amazing things that have happened since then. So I'm going to start out with a quote, and you guys are going to notice this quite a bit during this presentation. That I'm not. If you're hoping I'm just going to give you this template and have you fill out some blanks and then go along your merry way today, you're definitely going to be disappointed. Okay. One thing that I've found is when we all go through processes, when we go through the ritual of doing something, whether it's your goal planning, whether it's planning out your day, whether it's even thinking about changing certain things in your life, we oftentimes try to make it too ritualistic. We oftentimes try to make it too transactional. We take out the notepad, we write some things down, we shut the notepad, and we say, okay, I did that. I wrote it down like they say to do with goals. Now it's going to be magic. And what I have found has to happen is we have to elicit emotion. We have to elicit emotion around those goals. We have to elicit emotion around why. We have to elicit emotion around the why we want those things in our life, not just the what. Okay, and that was one of the biggest things, one of the biggest mistakes I used to make when I was setting my goals and planning out my year for the next year. Was I was always thinking about the what. Okay, and I'm going to walk you guys through not only how to think about the what are those things that you want to accomplish this next year? What are those things you want to bring into your life? What are those things you want to bring into other people's lives this next year? But also why? Because you need to have a really strong why attached to each and every single one of those things that you're putting down on your paper today. Okay, and I want to challenge you with this right here. I want to challenge you with this quote, guys and gals. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. Our actions and decisions today will shape the way we will live in the future. Now, you guys we all need to take this seriously. Okay, this thing that we're doing today, I please ask of you. So once we get off of this, don't immediately go to the next thing. Don't immediately take what we did today, download it, and say, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that next week. Okay, what I really want you to do is as soon as you leave this call, shut down every other distraction, shut down everything. No Facebook, no computer, unless that's where you're typing things. I tend to like writing my things out because there's more of a connection to me when I write things out rather than just typing them out. But what I want you to do is carve out at least 60 minutes to 90 minutes after this call to bring all of your thoughts together and then to set the intention and in your calendar, set one full day in this next 7 days to carve out to implement everything I'm talking about. Okay, because you're not going to be able to change 365 days next year with a 1 hour call today. Okay, you're not going to be able to completely plan out and have an emotional tie to 365 days next year with a 1 hour call. Okay, what I hope this 1 hour call is going to do for you, it's probably going to be a little bit more because my starting was a little bit longer. What this 1 hour call is going to do for you, hopefully, is going to give you the tools and the plan. And then you really need to be disciplined about after this call, bring your thoughts together in about an hour. Just write down your thoughts from this call before they leave your mind. Any ahas that you have during this call, write those down. Anything like that, write this down. And then immediately put in your schedule in the next 7 days, a full day that I call, and I'm going to show you guys, this is the very last step in the process at the end. I'm going to show you guys what I do with this. But it's you can call it whatever the heck you want to call it. But it's basically an out of office day. Okay, it's a disconnect day. And you need to have a disconnect day every single quarter this next year. And I'm going to show you guys why and how that's so important. But do something today that your future self will thank you for. The actions that you take today and the actions that you take in this next week are going to be the ones that guide the next 52 weeks of your life. And if we don't take that really seriously, what we're going to find happen is we're going to get back into our old habits. We're going to have goals that we set. We're going to forget about them by March 1st. We're going to have these New Year's resolutions that we set and don't take too seriously because we don't have the emotional attachment into why we want and need those things. Okay, so let's make sure that we treat this hour seriously and then treat your action plan after this hour seriously with setting that time for that out of office day or disconnect day or whatever the heck you want to make it to finish out my plan that I have going through today. Okay, so as soon as you have questions, write them down in the questions panel. We will go through questions. I really would love to go through questions. And for those of you who are not familiar with me, Adrian on our team is usually the guy that's hopping on these mastermind calls. And I'm going to start doing at least one mastermind call a month again. And I love doing them. I've just been so focused in growing my own self and growing my own role this past year as a leader and growing our team so our members can be successful that I've honestly had to empower Adrian, who's amazing, to take these things over and help you guys crush it. But now that we've got past these certain humps and hired some amazing people that are taking over and really taking a load off of me, I'm going to be diving back in because I really like these. But I'm the founder of InvestorCarrot, along with my business partner, Chris. He's the technical guy. And I'm an investor and entrepreneur, and I really love empowering entrepreneurs. And part of the reason that I love empowering entrepreneurs is because I feel it's part of my life mission. I really do feel it's part of my life's mission to amplify leaders so they can go out there and do bigger and greater things, not only for themselves, but amplifying other people. And it's kind of this butterfly effect thing. If you guys can take this process that I've learned today, that's completely changed my life, that's helped me quadruple my income in the past 4 years, That's helped me build multiple businesses well into the seven figures. That's helped me have an amazing family, amazing friends, and also I still have a lot of things to work on. So that's why we should all still be going through this process. That's why this is not just an annual process that I'm going to go through. This is a process I go through every darn quarter, guys and gals. And I'm going to show you why it's so important to do that, because I'm always working on things. I'm always discovering new challenges and new things that I need to improve and work on. Okay, so this may be you. Are you a high achieving entrepreneur and don't want to settle for living an average life? And if you can just kind of like raise your hand in the background whenever one of these is one that's you, and every single one of these is or was me at one point in my life. Do you feel like you're working your butt off and not getting closer to your ultimate goals? And that's how I was about 4 to 5 years ago. Okay, it's really waking up every morning. Some mornings not even excited to get up and work in the company that I had created. And I would be working my butt off. I'd look back at the end of the day and I'd go, what the heck did I do with my day? I don't feel like I got anything done. Or what the heck did I do with my week? Or, oh my gosh, that month flew by. And these 4 goals or that intention I set, none of that happened. Where did that time go? If you're feeling any of that stuff, this call is for you. You need to stay on this call. This is probably the most important thing you can be doing for your next year. Okay. Do you set goals for the year, but by March forget about them because you're not really making big progress? And then you let life kind of choose what you spend your time on. And life is busy, guys, but life gets even busier if we let it get busy. Okay. And being busy is not a good thing. I used to think being busy was a good thing, but being busy is not a good thing. Because oftentimes being busy, we wear as this badge of honor when you talk on the phone with a colleague or friend, and the way that the conversations always go, and this is the way that I was for years until about 3 years ago, I made this mental switch. You'd get on the phone with someone, you guys are probably nodding in the background and say, "Hey, how are things going?" And your immediate answer is, "Oh man, I'm crazy as busy as heck, man. I'm just slammed." And we say that like it's a good thing, and that's not a good thing. Okay, being focused and intentional is a great thing. Being busy all the time to where that's your badge of honor, that's not a good thing. That's how we get into these patterns to where like in bullet point 2, you're working your butt off and you don't have anything to show for it. Okay, I'm going to show you guys how to be less busy in 2016, but get more done. Get more done, have a bigger income, make a bigger impact doing less things. Okay, who out there kind of resonates with that? Doing fewer things, higher focus things, getting paid better to do that, having more fulfillment and helping more people in the process. I think everyone should be raising their hand on that and being less busy. Do you find yourself saying yes to almost any opportunity that looks good and is profitable? That's one of my biggest Achilles heels is I'm a really optimistic guy. And if I mean, I know there's some Carrot team members, some team members of ours on this call watching. So you guys could totally attest that I'm such an idea guy that if I hear an idea, I get so excited about it. And I immediately try to find ways that I can do it. And what I've found now is like the next day after I say yes to something, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I should never have said yes to that because I don't have time in my current schedule to do it. And then what happens is I'm going to show you a symptom here later in this call. I'm going to show you exactly with a drawing exactly what describes your life right now potentially, because it described mine 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, because I was saying yes to so many good opportunities that I was letting the great opportunities wither on the vine. Okay. Do you start each day feeling overwhelmed at everything you have to do and the little time you have to do it? And do you wish that finally one of your businesses or business ideas would grow to its full potential rather than just doing decent leveling off? And once again, every single one of these describes me at one point in my life, or even some of them now. Okay. Because some of them, like what I've found, guys and gals, and if you're not an InvestorCarrot member, or if you don't show up to our mastermind calls on a consistent basis, I walk through on many calls, guys and gals, how to a lot of mindset things, how to transcend your current mindset to go and do bigger, better things. Okay, one of the things that I found is we all go through these phases. We all go through these kind of like the stock market. How the stock market will go up and then it goes down and it goes up and goes down. You hope that the trajectory is always up, upwards, but on a steady scale. But what we all experience is you might feel like you've nailed one of these points now, and then in 6 months, you're on a downslide. So you have to have the tools I'm going to be teaching you guys, the tools and the mindset shifts to get yourself back on that upward swing so you don't plummet through the floor. Okay. So if you ever get discouraged, if you ever feel like you're doing any of these things, don't feel bad about it. Just know that you have to make a conscious decision to flip that switch in your life to get back on track. Okay. And I can say that literally every single one of these bullet points I've experienced in 2015. Okay. But what is the difference today versus 5, 6 years ago is that I immediately switched them around, implemented my structure I'm going to show you guys today, and it went back, back on the upward swing instead of leveling off and kind of staying at a decent level like many of you guys may be experiencing. So my quick journey, you guys might be, as I've kind of mentioned, I went through this transformation about 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm going to just quickly, in about 3 minutes, walk through my transformation as efficient as I can, and then I'm going to dive into the process that I now implement in my life at the beginning of each year and each quarter to just crush my goals. Okay, so I had a previous company that was an online publishing company, and I've been investing in real estate since I was 21 years old. I'm a buy and hold guy, so I buy properties and hold them, a lot like this townhouse here. We rent this thing out all the time. It's an income producing asset for us. And so about 4 to 5 years ago, I went through this journey where I didn't want to wake up most mornings. Okay, my oldest daughter is 5 years old now, and right before we had her, right before we had McKinley, I was kind of hitting this like little crisis in my life where I was going, okay, and I'm a young guy. I'm 32 years old. Okay, so you can kind of put perspective to where in my life this happened. And many of you who are in more advanced stage than I am, you guys are probably going, Trevor, you're going to go through it 10 more times in your life. and I totally believe that I will. But we have to have the tools to get ourselves out of it and to have the mental construct to blast through these roadblocks that we will inevitably hit. So I was going through this kind of patch in my life where I was making a great income. From the outside in, people thought I was doing amazing, and I was doing amazing. Okay, I'm not going to complain about anything. I had a beautiful wife, beautiful house, a business that made me a great income, doing what I thought I wanted to do. But I was still getting to the point each morning where I just didn't want to get up. Okay, and I'm not sure if any of you guys have ever experienced that before, and it's a terrible, terrible experience when one of the best things about living is being able to open your eyes and tackle the day and do what you want to do. One of the worst things is when you feel like you're mentally trapped and not doing what you want to do. Okay. And that's the way I felt. I'd wake up and literally not want to get out of bed. I'd lay in bed for an hour, 2, 3 hours. I'd get up at 10 o'clock in the morning after waking up and hitting the snooze button and waking up again and all this kind of stuff. Then I finally go, okay, I better get out of bed. And it took me a while to kind of figure out why and what was happening. Okay. One thing was I wasn't really excited about a big vision in my life. I really didn't know why I was even running the company. Okay. Number two, the things that I was doing in the company, I thought that I really enjoyed them, but looking back now, I hated them. Those weren't what I could call my unique ability. Okay. Those weren't those things. Okay. And I believe I have a misspelling there, but I wasn't doing the things I actually loved to do. And also, I was really meandering throughout my year. I was meandering throughout my months. And when you're meandering, even when you write down a big goal at the start of the year, and you don't have a structure for how to implement it and crush it that year, and how to refresh that excitement about that goal every week, every month, every quarter, you find yourself meandering. And then you get to the end of the year going, what the heck happened? I did not achieve that stuff. And I went through this mindset shift. I'm going to walk you guys through some of the things I've implemented since then. And one of the biggest things that helped me through the mindset shift was one of the most unfortunate circumstances that I've had to experience. At the time, this gentleman was 34 years old. He's one of my brother's best friends. He was in his wedding, but I knew him really well also. And I got a text message from my brother, and he said Nick died. And Nick was 34, had 3 beautiful kids, had a wife, and was kind of living the American dream, right? I mean, he had a job. He was working for an insurance company, but he really enjoyed what he was doing. And he was in the backyard of his house, and he was, this is on a Sunday, and he was doing gardening. He was kind of planting some things, and him and his wife were talking about the future. They were talking about, what they were going to do next year, and what they wanted to do for their kids, and what they wanted to do in retirement. And were they actually doing the things in their life, in their days, in their work that they were really passionate about? Were they doing those things that were going to help them live that life that they were talking about that Sunday? And while they were planning out their lives, they were planning out their retirement, they were planning out next month, next year, 10 years from now. What Nick didn't know in that instance was that he wasn't able to make it to dinner that night. He wasn't able to get back into the house and to hug his kids and to help make dinner and to sit down and start his work week the next week. And it hit me really hard because I was going through this part in my life where I was waking up every morning, almost feeling sorry for myself, not really clear on why I was in the position I was in, even though I was doing great financially. Like I said, mentally, I was not doing that great. And that was one of the first things that hit me was I had to recognize my own mortality. I'm going to talk about this here in a little bit more, but I had to recognize my own mortality because as soon as you recognize that you're not going to be around forever, and seeing a buddy of mine who was living a great life, beautiful kids, pass away because of a brain aneurysm in a split second, you know, during the time that they were planning for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years out, it really made me think about what I was doing in my life. And it created a lot more urgency. It totally took away the part where it's like, okay, I'll get to this someday. I'll figure this part out someday. I'll make that risk. I'll take that chance myself someday. But someday never happened. Someday did not come for Nick or his family. Okay. And I felt like crap. I felt like shit. And I pardon the French, but that I was waking up doing that. And Nick didn't have another day to live. And I felt like I was wasting Nick's days because Nick didn't have those anymore. I was wasting them. I was wasting Nick's time now. And that changed the way I looked at life. And I'm going to walk you through what I learned after that. Once I recognized my own mortality, once I recognized how important and how fragile our time is here on earth, I started to figure out ways to be more efficient with it, to be more effective with it, so I could actually live the life I want to live and contribute the way I want to contribute to other people. Okay. So that's a huge thing, guys. Write this down right now. I'm going to show you guys some things that are going to hopefully really ingrain this into your mind. Is I feel that we can't have something that we're crazy excited about. We can't have the urgency to get it done unless we recognize our mortality. And I don't, it doesn't matter what you believe in faith wise. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in an afterlife. It doesn't matter if you do believe in an afterlife. This life we currently have on earth is going to end. And that's the one thing that's in common about every single person on this call. Every single person on this call, we all only have a limited amount of time. Okay. The only variable is what are you going to do with your time? What are you going to do with your time that you have left? And if you're 21 years old, 22 years old, 32 years old, 45 years old, and you're thinking, man, I've got 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years left. I can kind of get to things as I want to. Nick thought the same thing. Okay. Nick thought the exact same thing. And I'm knocking on wood here because I really hope that every single person on this call lives to 95 years old. Okay. I really hope that. And if so, you're going to make a massive impact in your life and other people's life if you're able to live that long. We just need to make sure that what you're doing on a daily basis, so what you're doing in 2016 matters. We need to make sure that when you get to that spot when you're 90 or 95 or 85 or whatever that age is, that you look back and go, you know what? I did life right. I did it right. I didn't love halfway. I didn't live halfway. Stuff that I did mattered. Okay. And hopefully you guys can look back at 2016 as a changing point in your life when you can go, you know what? The best story of my life started in 2016 because that's when I got intentional. Because that's when I actually looked at life and said, you know what? I know I'm only going to have one go around. I don't care what risks are out there. I don't care what mental roadblocks are in my mind. Those are all false. The only absolute in life is that we are going to pass on someday. And you need to crush it between now and then. Okay. So here's a quote from Steve Jobs. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make big choices in life. Almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what's truly important. Remembering that you're going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You're already naked. There's no reason not to follow your heart. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it, and that is how it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. And little did Steve Jobs know that within 5 years, it was going to be his time. And he made massive technological advances, but also changes in people's life during his time. Okay, and I want you guys to do the same. And I know I'm talking about, and I'm going to bounce out of here to see if there's any questions. I know I'm talking about death here. Okay, and you guys are probably going, "Oh my gosh, I'm wanting to plan out, 2016 and have a great life." Well, guys, like I said, we need to have urgency. We need to have urgency for living this amazing life that you want to live. It can't be 2016. It can't be, "Oh, Trevor, I'm so slammed today. I've got to go shopping. I've got to go do this. I'll do what you asked, and I'll implement that hour tomorrow. I'll do that week sometime in January, or I'll pull out and do that unplugged day in January sometime, and I'll get to it." If you're doing that, you're completely living life with no urgency. Okay, and life is going to catch up to you the same way it did with me. Okay, it caught up to me, and I realized that I was not living the way I wanted to live, and unless I changed things mentally big time right then, my time could catch up with me as well. I'm just going to knock on wood here. So let's show this visually. Okay, and I found this amazing blog post on a website called Wait But Why. And after this, guys and girls, then I'm going to walk you through how to plan out that 2016. Okay, how to do what I call the 90-day year. Okay, well, let's show this visually to really hit home your mortality, and to give us that urgency to do this stuff now that matters. Okay, so let's just say that we all want to live to we're 90 years old or more. Okay, so visually right here, there's 90 diamonds here. Okay, every single one of these diamonds represents a year in your life. Okay, all the way from birth at the upper left to turning 90 at the lower right. So when we look at this, we go, well, shoot, that's 90 years. But guys, imagine this: each one of those diamonds encapsulates an entire year of your life. Okay, and that doesn't look like that many diamonds right there, does it? Okay, we all think, when we're thinking of our future, no matter what age you are, the future always seems like it's so far out. Yet it happens so darn fast. Okay, so here's 90 boxes. Each one of those represents a year in your life. It doesn't look like all that much right there, but wait, let's look at something else. Okay, so let's look at how many months the average, how many months you're going to live if you live to 90 years old. Okay, so all the way up to the upper left, you have birth. About a third of the way down is your 30th birthday. Then you have your 60th birthday, and then you have your 90th birthday. Okay, so each one of those circles represents 1 month in your life. Each row represents 36 months, so 3 years of your life. Okay, and the reason I'm doing this is because this whole process I'm going to show you today, it's so important to recognize the future. It's to have a vision for the future and have a vision for where you're going, but also to chunk things down so it's easier for our minds to digest and to take action on, and to make real. Okay, to make urgent in our lives. And when we look at it this way, we go, shoot, it just feels like I have a never-ending supply of months left in my life. But as I can look at this, I'm 33 right now. I'm already well through a third of all of those circles in my life. Okay, and that's if I'm fortunate enough to live to 90, which I really hope that I am. So that means I have 2/3 of that left if I'm living to 90. Okay, so now let's put some more urgency on it. Let's say you enjoy the winter. Okay, let's say you enjoy snow skiing, snowboarding, whatever it is, or just enjoy the winter. As you can see out my back door. So this right here, this is assuming a 34-year-old. Okay, and let's say that you have 90 winters in your life, right? And I'm 33, but on this box they were assuming a 34-year-old. You can look and see how many winters left you really have in your life. So you go, man, I need to enjoy each winter now. Okay, you have 60-something winters left is all that I, or 50-something winters left is all that I really have. And it sounds like a lot when we think about it, but it goes by so darn fast. So let's make this real right here. Okay, this is where it gets really real. Think about all the time that the average person has to spend with their parents or a parent or the loved one that raised you. Okay. And it's a lot of days when you think about it, because growing up, you're with your parents every darn day. And then once you hit 18 or so, most of us move out of the house and go to college or do whatever we're doing. Okay, so when we look at the time that we have with our parents, or you can reflect this one as a loved one of yours. Okay, look at the time that we have with our parents. By the time I'm 34 years old, 90% of the time that I have left with my parents, physical time with them, is gone. Okay, and you guys are looking at it going, how's that even true? That's weird. How's that true? Because like I said, in your first 18 years, you're with your parents every single day, almost every single day of your life. Once you move out, And if you move away from the town that your parents live in, like I live 2.5 to 3 hours away, realistically, I see my parents 7 to 8 times a year is all. Okay. So now we're starting to look at and go, okay, my parents are older than me. They have to look at their time on a scale like this, and they're almost 60. So it shows that they have 30 years left if they live to 90. Okay. And if I'm visiting my parents 7 times a year, guys, that's not a whole lot of visits. Okay, and I know this sounds completely morbid, and you guys are going, "Oh my gosh, this is a downer, Trevor." What I'm trying to do here is relate all of this to why it's so important to have urgency in your life and have urgency in what you're doing today and planning your 2016. Make 2016 an epic year. Okay, because if you really look at the numbers, you may realistically only have 5 more visits with your grandparents if you live far away and you see them once a year and they're 85 years old. You may realistically only have 17 visits to the beach left in your life if you go, once every 2 years, and you're in your 50s. Okay. So when you look at those things, you go, oh my gosh, I've got to appreciate each one of these things a lot more and make sure I'm structuring my life to where I can have more of this. Okay. And go to this blog post, guys. It's called waitbutwhy.com. It's a blog that's called so there's the domain waitbutwhy.com, and it's a blog post called The Tail End. The Tail End. And you guys will resonate with it so much. He explains it a lot better. But visually, it shows some amazing things. And you guys might be saying, okay, so what can I really accomplish in a year? And I know when I was 4, 5, 6 years ago, I was really limiting what I thought that I could accomplish in 12 months. Okay, I was like, man, I could plan out a business, I could start some stuff, and maybe I would get my first deal done in a year, right? But let me just give you guys some real examples of real Carrot members who in way less than a year crushed it because they got intentional, they got focused, and they did it. Okay, here's Tim. Tim's a young guy, and Tim got laid off from his job this year, and I think Tim's been with us for about 6 months now. But Tim got laid off from his job, got crazy focused, dove in, trusted the process, wasn't doing too well before Carrot joined Carrot. We helped him really ramp things up with this pay-per-click because now he's driving people to a highly effective and highly converting website on Carrot. And he says, thanks, Carrot, for helping me close some deals. I wouldn't be able to work for myself without your help. You go above and beyond when it comes to my never-ending assault of questions. And the reason I'm showing this, guys, is because he went from being laid off to doing over $30,000 in profits within 6 months. Okay. Now, if you guys are looking at this call going, man, I've been slaving away for a year and I haven't been able to get traction. What's the difference between you and Tim? Now, other than the obvious age, race, gender, whatever. What's the difference between you and Tim? The only difference is Tim got crazy focused. He got urgent because he had to be urgent because his job was gone. And he reached out to people who helped him through the things who have been through it before. And now he's crushing it. That's in a 6-month period. Okay. Over here, Josh, this fun fact, this year about 50% of our revenue came from Carrot as opposed to last year's about 30%. He did over 10 deals this year just with InvestorCarrot. Okay. But he started with InvestorCarrot a year ago. So he went from ground zero to doing good deals within his first 12 months to now crushing it this next year. Okay. And now look at this, Brian Harrison. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories like this. Okay. So these are just 3 I grabbed right before the call. Brian says, thought it'd be great. And he just shot this on Facebook. Thought it'd be great to give an update post for those that always ask about my Google AdWords. He says it's his preferred way to generate leads. He drives it all through his InvestorCarrot websites. He says he's looking at our data. They should clear $152,000 this month. And 80% of it is from his Carrot his AdWords campaigns driving through his InvestorCarrot websites. Okay, guys, if your goal is $100,000 next year, Brian's doing $100,000 a month right now, and he's new to investing this past year. Okay, he's new to investing this past year, and he crushed it this year. You can do the exact same thing, following this process, getting crazy focused, focusing on your big thing, getting distractions out of the way. Okay, and speaking of that, so I talked about that we only have one go around. And really, the question is, are you using your time wisely while you have it? Who on here had a chance to read the blog post that I wrote and published this last week? Let me go to the blog right now. And right after this, I'm going to walk through the process of how to plan out your stuff. Who on here, guys and gals, had a chance to read this blog post right here, how a pumpkin farmer changed my perspective on life and business? Those of you who have, we got a lot of amazing comments in here. This is the most commented on blog post that we've ever written at InvestorCarrot. So we're going to start writing a lot more things like this, things that can help you transcend entrepreneurship, business, and life at a mindset level. Okay. If you guys have not read this yet, put this on your list to read the next week. Go to our website, oncarrot.com, click the blog link, and then go to that first blog that says how a pumpkin farmer plan or how a pumpkin farmer changed my perspective on life and business. And in here, I walked through my story, but in a lot more detail than I've walked through today. And I'm walking through this graphic and this paradigm shift that I had to go through that I want you guys to go through right now. And we have to do this before we start planning out our year. And you guys are probably saying, "Man, Trevor, let's just get into it. Let's get into it. Let me get out my piece of paper. Tell me what I need to write where. Let me put those little boxes on my paper and let me put stuff places so I can get on with my day and so I can get into 2016." If I would not have gone through all this stuff leading up to now, none of that stuff would have mattered. Okay, because you would have just been putting stuff in boxes, and those boxes would have been full. You would have mentally checked it off, saying I did it, and then you'd go into 2016, and come March 1st, you'd forget about those goals. Okay, because you wouldn't have this emotional attachment to the why. You wouldn't have this emotional attachment to the urgency on why you need to get this done now, because life is not going to be, it's not going to be forever. Okay, so since we only have one go around, are you using that time wisely? Everything you focus on in 2016 is going to take mental energy and physical time. Okay, and this is one thing that it took me way too long to really figure out. Okay, I was always looking at my schedule and I was going, okay, how much physical time do I have in my day, and what can I pack into that? And I would literally take my to-do list. I would write down the 6, 7, 8, 9 to-dos on my day. Okay. And then I would write next to them and say, this is going to take 30 minutes. This is going to take 2 hours. This is going to take X. And I put my lunch in there. That's going to be 45 minutes. And I would at the end of the to do, I would say, okay, this is going to take 8.5 hours, or this is going to take 6 hours. What I was not taking into account, and this is probably the biggest mindset shift I've made in the past 2 years, is I wasn't taking into account the mental mind space that each thing in your life takes. Each to do, each thing sitting on your desk, each thing in your dresser, each thing in your closet, each thing in your car if your car's a mess, each physical thing you have, each thing you said yes to, helping to do that thing for your neighbor, volunteering for this over here, taking a board seat on your HOA, saying yes to this project and this joint venture with this investor, saying yes to thinking about this new business idea, saying yes to your boss about taking on something because they told you to. Okay. Each one of those yeses, each one of those things that we do and we buy and have take mental mind space. And if I had to pass off one of the biggest mindset shifts you can make for 2016 is to clear off as much mental mind space as you possibly can in your life. Okay. And I'll tell you a couple really quick, simple examples. When I was going through my mindset shift 3, 4, 5 years ago, what I started to discover was like, I was going, oh my gosh, my mind just feels like it's always running. My mind feels like it's always running. My to-do list is always ginormous. And one morning, I got out of bed. I went and opened up my closet. I grabbed something out of the closet, kind of halfway shut the door like I usually would at the time, so the door is still kind of hanging open. I walk over to my dresser. I open up my dresser drawer where my shirts were, dug through the pile of shirts because they weren't folded. They were just kind of like thrown in there because it was folded at one time. But then there was this one shirt I wanted at the bottom of the stack, and I reached down there, grabbed that shirt. It kind of flipped the other shirts in that dresser drawer and made them all unfolded, but I left them there. And that morning, literally, I stood up, and this is after I started to make that mindset shift of mortality, of doing some of the things I'm going to show you here in a second, of making a theme for your year, of blocking out your year in the 90-day year plan. I kind of stood back and said, you know what? I said, I'm not doing as best as I can possibly do at a human being level. Okay, I'm really failing on some very simple things. And I would always make excuses for myself, saying, I grew up that way. I'm just not a clean person. I grew up that way. My mom wasn't an organized person. So, and my wife is really clean and organized. So, when the house would be a mess, it's like we needed to clean it up, and she'd be the one driving that. And the house is always clean except for my little pods. And I would say, hey babe, can I just have like my own space? That just let me make these couple things messy, and let's make sure I'd shut the doors, and that way I've kind of I've got my thing taken care of, and it isn't making the house messy. And in this instance, on this day, I pulled open that drawer and I said, you know what? This mess in my drawer, this mess in my closet is affecting every other part of my life. And I never realized it before that. That messy drawer was carrying over and using up mind space that I should be using for more valuable things, like thinking of bigger things to do in life, like helping other people, like growing a business and focusing on important things, like my family, like my kids. Okay. Those little things, the way that we do the little things, how you clean your closet. Is your closet always clean, or do you do this once every month or once every quarter purge when you get tired of it? How's your dresser drawer look? Do you like once every quarter go, oh my gosh, I can't find anything. I'm just going to get everything out, Goodwill a bunch, and then fold it again, and then it gets messy again? If so, that's probably how your planning and your goal setting goes for the year. Okay, you get everything organized at the start of the year. Okay, go, oh, this feels great. And then you don't continually organize, continually trim, and continually free up that mental mind space. That's why by March 1st, your goals are blasted, they're gone. Okay, and then you start to lower your standards March 1st, going, well, I didn't reach those, so let me just kind of reset some new standards I can kind of reach. Okay, which that's failing yourself. That's not failing anyone else, that's failing yourself. And I realized that about myself. So immediately that day, took everything out of my drawers, got rid of everything I hadn't worn in the past year, every single thing I hadn't worn in the past year, even if I liked it still. I'm like, if I haven't used this in the past year, it's gone because it's taking up mental mind space. Went through my closet, did the same thing. Went through my truck, did the same thing. Went through my garage over the next 2 weeks, did the exact same thing. And I got rid of a bunch of things I thought were pretty good things. I got rid of a bunch of things that I'm like, yeah, these are cool. I might use them someday. In the past, I would keep them because they were good, and I might use them someday. But what I didn't realize, like I said, is each one of those good things was taking up mind space from the great things. Okay. And that goes into your goals. That goes into your projects you're working on. And it starts at the ground level. I want you to look at yourself really hard right now. And I don't care what age you are, if you're 21 or 81, look at the things in your life that are taking up that mental mind space and having your energy go in all these different directions. Okay. Because as soon as you can get that mind space cleared up, so you can take your mind and go in one direction, you're going to start crushing it. You're going to start doing this. Okay. So rather than having your energy go all different directions in your to-do list, in your priorities for 2016, even in just in the way that you're running your life in general, your family, we need to make sure we're going, okay, let's get rid of all that crap that we think is important because it's quote unquote good. Okay. And let's just keep the great things. Let's keep the less but better things. I got this out of a book called Essentialism, which I would highly suggest you guys read that book. Okay. Essentialism. But anyway, guys, get rid of all that crap, get your stuff organized, tidy up on a daily basis. And I'm not just talking about your dresser drawer. Okay. I am talking about that, but I'm not just talking about your dresser drawer. I'm talking about your mind space. Anything that you said yes to 2 weeks ago that you're looking at now and going, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have yet said yes to. Don't keep doing it just because you already said yes to it. Think long and hard if it's something that you could actually part ways with now and say no to so you can focus on less but better. Fewer things, but better things, so you can have a bigger result. Now, what you guys may not have realized is you see all these arrows around this energy circle, okay? Picture yourself of every single project you've taken on, every single goal you have, everything you do takes your energy. And most people, myself included, I'm still not that great at this. I'm getting way better. I'm way better than I was 4 years ago, but I'm still improving on this. I'm still challenging myself to get better, okay? But one thing that I used to do a lot more than today is I'd get excited about everything. Okay, with you guys, it might be, oh my gosh, I love pay-per-click. I love SEO. You know what? Direct mail is amazing. This is amazing. Wholesaling looks great. Flipping houses looks awesome. Let me do some mobile homes. Let me do some buy and hold. Okay, so it's like everything might look great to you. And some of you guys are going, oh my gosh, Trevor, you're speaking to me. That's exactly me. Okay, but what you're doing to yourself is your energy is going in all different directions, just like that circle there. Okay. And your energy is going in all different directions, a half an inch. It's not going very far. You feel like you're really busy, you're getting a lot done, or you feel like you're doing a lot of work, but this is where you get back to the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the month, the end of the year, and you go, oh my gosh, I know I worked 60 hours this week, but I don't have anything to show for it. Okay. It's this. It's because your energy is going all these different directions because you're saying yes to too many things and not using no enough. Okay, and not being clear on what you want to crush in 2016 versus what are just the quote unquote good opportunities. Okay, so do this right now, guys and gals, and you're going to finish this after this call. Okay, take a piece of paper, draw a line right down the middle of this piece of paper, and this can be your first set of homework here. Okay, draw a line right down the middle of the piece of paper. On the left side, you're going to put enjoy. Okay, plus great. at. Okay, on the right side, you're going to put hate, or whatever word you want to use, not great at. Okay, so just very simple. Line down the middle, things you enjoy and you're great at, things you don't enjoy and you're not good at. And what I want you to do after this call, you can start it right now on the call if you think of ideas, is everything you're currently doing in your day, in your life, in your work, in your business, whatever it is, that you really enjoy, that you feel you're pretty darn good at, right down on the left side. Okay. That could be, hey, I really love making offers. I really love like doing the analyzing of deals. But you know what? I just don't like the negotiation process. I just feel very uncomfortable. I don't think it's ever going to be anything that I like to do. Or you know what? I really love finding deals, but selling the deal I don't like. Or you know what? I love the idea of generating leads online, but I'm never going to be this person who's going to be the SEO expert. I'm never going to be a person who's going to be a pay-per-click expert, but I really want that benefit. I love having the benefit. Okay. And like Josh said, his ROI, his margins with his online leads from Carrot are way higher than his margins with his direct mail leads. And we hear that time and time again. So leveraging the web, which is why we focus so much on it, gives you much higher margins, so you can do less things but better, less deals but higher profits. Okay. But go through this list, and this is homework number 1. Write down your things you enjoy and you're good at, things you don't enjoy and you're not good at. And once you get to the bottom of that, every single thing on the right side of that paper are things in 2016 you're gonna work to get off of your lap. Okay, every single thing on the right side. Now you might get to the end of the year and go, man, I've nailed it. I got them all off of my lap. I either completely said no to them, or I hired someone to do them, or I outsourced it, or whatever. Okay, but most of us are going to get to the end of the year and go, you know what? Of those 10 things I just really don't like that I'm doing right now and spending time on, and I'm not that good at, I was able to get 6 off. And count that as a success. Any of those that you can get off in 2016 are going to be a success. Okay, and then everything on the left side, the things you enjoy and things you're great at, those are the things you want to try to plan more into your life. The things that you get energy from. Okay, and that's something called a unique ability. You want to really focus on, and I can do a whole separate call on how to find your unique ability, because that's one of the core things that you have to figure out to live the life you want to live. And one quick way to kind of determine that is, what are the things that you love to do, the things that just fire you up and give you energy. Okay, because you can see this little graph on the side, energy. Energy is one of the most important assets we have. And if we're taking our energy and putting it in all different directions because there's all these good opportunities, okay, and not focusing on something, your energy is getting depleted and you're not getting a chance to use it. Okay, can you imagine if you set up a power plant, okay, and that power plant had 13,000 power lines going out, and they were all low capacity power lines. What if that power plant had 13,000 low capacity power lines going out? Okay, and those power lines could only go so far. Let's say each one of them could really only go a quarter of a mile or half a mile. Okay, and the city that you really wanted to power was 5 miles away. Okay, so that's not going to work. That's not going to channel your energy in a place that's going to get you to power that city. Okay, if that's the goal. What would work is getting a high capacity line, one line or maybe two, that can go 5 miles, and getting that one damn line, laying that thing to the city. You're going to crush it then. You're going to be working on fewer things, but it's all going to be channeled in the right direction. Your energy is going the right way, and it's actually being used to do something good, not just being used to be used. Okay. So we've got to focus our energy there. So find the things that you really love to do and they give you energy. You get done with them, like this call for me, guys and gals. I don't know if you can tell, but this gives me energy. This is one of my unique abilities. I love empowering and amplifying leaders like you guys. Okay. What are those things for you? I love business strategy. Like, I can talk marketing strategy and business strategy all day long. But 4 or 5 years ago, I thought that doing the marketing was the thing that I was great at and I loved. Because that's what made me money. But that zapped my energy. I would get done writing a whole sales page, or actively physically doing the SEO for months and months and months and trying to manage a process, and my energy would just be drained. But what I did find was I loved looking at the situation and going, you know what, that's the opportunity, and then rallying the awesome people around that to do the work, and they love doing the work. That's why I focused a lot of my time now on amplifying leaders, on doing the things I like to do, because it gives me energy. Now, you're still going to have to do things in your list in your life that you don't like. We're all going to have to do things that take our energy away. We need to make sure we focus our energy on the things we love to do. We focus our energy to one vision, say no to almost everything, okay, in life. That was one of the things that tripped me up the most 5 years ago, is I would hear of a good opportunity and I'd be like, oh yes, I love it. Let's try to do it. Now I do it, and because I love opportunity so much, I have to go, okay, great idea. Let me pull back and think about it for a day or a week. And if I'm still excited about that in a day or a week and I think I can actually get it in my schedule, then I'll do it. Okay. But giving myself that time before I say yes to anything extra has helped me trim off 90% of all opportunities that have came my way, all good opportunities, so I could focus on my best. Okay. And Albert Einstein, he had a great quote here. He says, we are most productive when we focus on a very small number of projects on which we can devote a large amount of attention. So who on this call, and bounce over the questions panel, who on this call can relate to the fact that are you focusing on too many different things? And I guess that's kind of a, obviously that's, you're not focusing then if that's the case, but who on this call can relate to this graphic? That you feel like you're busting your butt, you're at the end of the day, you're at the end of the week, at the end of the year, and you did a lot. I mean, you worked your butt off. It's not like you were just sitting there watching TV and eating Cheetos. You're working your butt off, but you didn't have anything to show for it. That's because of this. That's because you're saying yes to way too many things. You're saying yes to the good opportunities, and your great opportunities end up withering on the vine. Okay, so we need to switch to this. And I didn't really relate this well. If you add up the length of every single one of these lines, guys and gals, those little lines, add up the length of each one of those, they equal this. They equal this line. Okay, so you can either go a million directions an inch and not achieve much, but work your butt off and work your butt off in the process and wonder what happened with the year, or you can get focused and use the exact same amount of energy. You're not expending more energy. You might be expending less energy and working less time, but achieving much, 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 much more. Can you imagine if Albert Einstein was working on the theory of relativity and 14 other concepts at the same time? He never would have been able to crack through on them. But instead, he focused on a very small number of projects so he could really focus in on those for an extended period of time and crush them. And I'm not talking a month. I'm not talking 6 months. Anyone on this call who has committed to being an amazing entrepreneur, an amazing human being, an amazing investor, if you're 6 months in and you're already thinking about quitting because you haven't got the results, or if you're 6 months or 8 months in doing your online lead generation, whether you're with Carrot or not, and you're going, man, I'm just not getting traction, you're thinking about quitting, this is the exact, this is this right here. That's that in play. Okay, that's that in play. And if you end up quitting that thing, if it's something that is truly something that is very important, it's your big pumpkin, it's your big thing, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to quit that thing and you're going to go start this other thing. And you're going to quit that because it didn't happen as quick as you thought it would. And you're going to start this other thing and you're going to quit that. Or you're going to start 4 things at once and bounce back and forth, and none of them are going to get finished. And I'm saying this because this was me, okay? And I'm still working on making this better. But like I said, what you need to do is you need to go, you know what? I'm in this real estate investing thing for at least 2 full years of giving it my all, giving it every single thing that I've got to make this thing work. If you're not going in with that mindset of I'm giving this 2 full years to be a great investor, if we're not going in with that mindset of I'm giving it 2 full years to help my online marketing crush it, then you're going into this mindset here. Okay, and that's not good. We go back to Josh Justiniano. Like I said, he started in 2014 actually with Carrot, and it took him a while. It took him 6, 7, 8 months to really get any real traction. Okay, so that was like to here in this timeline. Okay, so if he would have stopped when it was here, he probably would have bounced to the next thing, and went back and got a job. Instead, he pushed through it, energy focus. Oh, started to get my first leads. Okay, energy focus, engage in Carrot's mastermind calls, ask questions. Okay, my leads are becoming more plentiful. Oh, close my first online deal. Okay, and then bam, things start to pick up. And now half of his deals, half of his revenue actually is from InvestorCarrot online marketing stuff. Okay, if he would have quit down here, like most people do, he would have been disenfranchised, would have went and started something else, and he'd be miserable right now. He pushed through it, focused energy, crushing it. Okay, so your question is, okay, so that's great, Trevor. I love those things you went through, but what do I focus my energy on? What should I really make my focus in 2016? How do I organize it? And before I show you guys how to organize things, I'm going to show you guys what I call the 90-day year. I didn't invent this, but I have kind of modified it to better fit me. I'm going to show you guys the 90-day year. I'm going to show you guys how to have, you can call it whatever you want to call it. You can call it your out of office day. You can call it your unplugged day. You can call it your whatever. I usually call it my focus day, okay, my unplugged day. And I do it quarterly. I'm going to show you guys how important it is and what you guys need to do during that day to crush your year, okay? But let me bounce over here. Now, Wilbert's saying you hit the nail on the head. This is the best call to the point. Peter says, I'll answer that when I finish the 20 things on my to-do list. Smile face. Brian, yes, I realized this for a while. Yes, that would be me for sure. Lawrence, definitely spread thin like hot butter. So this is really, really resonating with a lot of people, guys and gals. So if this is great, Noel says, I'm loving this content, Trevor. So guys, so what we've gone over today, just in review, okay? Number one, we only have one 2016. That's an obvious, okay? But go back through the things I've showed you and realize your mortality, okay? Like I said, it's completely a downer when you do that. But on the other side of it, it should be a big time motivator and go, you know what? I've only got this amount of time. I don't want to look back in my life and go, and look back and go, that life was not worth telling a story about. Okay. You want your life to be worth telling a story about. You want your grandkids, great grandkids, people generations later, relaying stories about some things that you accomplished, some things that you did or mindsets you had or things that you did for your family. Okay. You want your life to be worth telling a story about. And make 2016 the first chapter of that story, of the next chapter of that story that is going to make it amazing. Okay, so recognize our own mortality. Okay, go through, and if the visual thing helps you a lot, do it like this. Like I said, if just use the 90 year timeline approximately, and go, okay, how many winters do I have left? How many trips to the beach do I have left? How many visits to my parents do I have left if I'm visiting them X amount of times a year? How many times do I have left to hang out with my kids? Because my kids are 14 years old right now, which means they've already lived through 70% of all the time that they're going to have with me, physically with me. How do I make the rest of that time amazing for my kids and myself? Okay, get real with your mortality. Get real about how much time we actually have to make things happen. Okay, get real about how much you can actually accomplish in a short amount of time. InvestorCarrots, we're less than 2.5 years old, guys and gals. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but we're making a massive impact in this industry, making a massive impact in our customers' life. It took our biggest competitors 7 years to build the type of company we've built in 2.5. Okay, so you guys can accomplish a ton in 6 months. You guys can accomplish a ton in 2016. Don't discount yourself. Okay? There's been billion-dollar companies that have been created in a matter of less than 12 months. Idea to valuation of over $1 billion in less than 12 months. Okay? If you have a goal of making your first $100,000, no reason you cannot do that. The only thing that's keeping you in between you and that is this right here, between what's in your head. Okay. And then make sure we know where our energy is going. Make sure we're not spreading ourselves too thin. Say no to almost everything in 2016. One of your most favorite words, guys and gals, in 2016 should be no. Okay, not let me take a look at that and I'll get back to you later. It should be, if you're not here's an amazing blog post you guys should read by a guy named Chris Sivers. So basically he's saying, and it's along the same lines, he's saying basically, if you're not so excited about something that you're saying hell yeah to it, that you should say a flat, complete no to it. Okay? If you're not so excited about it, there's my mom right there. You gotta say hi, Mom. You're in a webinar. If you're not so excited about that thing, that it's not a hell yeah, it should be a flat no. Okay, so no more in 2016, no more kind of half yeses to it. It's either a hell yeah or a complete no. Okay, and that's what prevents you from getting in here. Okay, and now let's dive into the process and how you guys can really plan out that year. Oh, thanks, Mom. So this is what most people do, and this is honestly what I used to do as well. And I still have to challenge myself into getting out of these mindsets. So most people choose a big yearly goal, right? And I think we all do. We all say, hey, I want to achieve X. I want to achieve X in my health and my income and whatever. And we write that goal down. We may even circle it. Thanks, Mom. We may even circle it and go, this is what I want to achieve this year. But your goal might be kind of vague. It might be the focus just isn't there. It might be become a real estate investor in 2016. Well, what does that mean? Does it mean you're going to be buying properties? Does it mean you're going to have a transactional business model like wholesaling? Does it mean you're just going to do your first deal, or does it mean you're going to do 20? Does it mean you want to actually learn how to quit your job during that year, Tim was forced to? He was laid off. Does it mean you want to net $100,000? What is that goal? Like, get specific with it. Most people aren't. Okay, and then they only do their goal setting and themes once a year. So who on this call is guilty of right around the start of the year, you just like right now, right around the start of the year, you're going, okay, I need to plan out my goals right now. Right? I need to plan out my goals right now. Who on here is guilty of just in January and December planning out your goals? And I know I was. Yeah, so Tim is twice a year. Wilbert says me, and I thank you guys for having the guts to step out and say these things, because until we admit them ourselves, there's no way we're going to let them get out of our life so we can attract better practices in our life. Michael Lopez, yep, that's me. And that was me too. Okay, at the start of the years, I would totally, you get out my notepad, fire up all kinds of productivity apps. It's like, all right, here's my goal this year. I would set goals for financial, for health, for fitness, for like all these things, spiritual, and I'd write a big goal there. Sometimes I would even work backwards and kind of determine how I would get there. But I would do it once a year. Okay, and kind of going back to looking at your dresser drawer. If any of you have any messes in your life, and I'm not just talking, like I said, messes that are physical messes, okay, your dresser drawer, your car, your closet, whatever. First of all, you need to clean that up. And I'm speaking from experience. There's going to be some tough love here. That is not something that is in your DNA. Okay, that is not something that you cannot get out of. That's not something that just because you grew up that way or your mom or dad are that way, that you have to live that way. Okay, like I was thinking. Those are things that are flaws in the way that you're living your life. They're taking up mind space from the important stuff. Get rid of those immediately. Go after this call, take out all the clothes you're not wearing, get rid of the ones that are not a hell yeah. Get rid of the ones you haven't worn in the past year. Okay. Get rid of the ones that you are going to wear once you lose the 30 pounds. Okay. And just get rid of all that crap that you're not wearing right now. Clean out the closet, clean out your car, get rid of it. Okay. And also, don't just do that once a year. Do that again in a month. Do that again every single day. Okay. To this day, 4 years later, when the previous 27, 28 years of my life, I couldn't keep my closet clean, I couldn't keep my dressers clean. To this day, every single day for 4 years, they've been spotless. On the left side are my t-shirts that have like a print on them, something on them, like the old Superman t-shirt here. On the right side are t-shirts that have nothing on them. They're just colors. Okay. I was never organized like that before, but I realized I had to change in order to adopt a bigger mindset and focus my energy where it needs to go. Okay. And the reason it's clean like that is because I do it every day. Every single day I look at my drawer, I see that one thing out of place, I fold it and put it back. Okay, every day now I take my pants and fold them and put them in the closet instead of tossing them on the floor and go, I'll pick them up tomorrow. And that's the equivalent of us in our days and with our goals going, okay, I'll just clean it once a year, take stuff to Goodwill once a year, and then I'll just kind of like, it gets to be a mess. You got to do it every single day. So when you wake up in the morning, look at those goals. Look at those goals, and are those goals challenging you enough? Every single morning, look at all the crap that's in your life, in your day, in your to-do list that you said yes to that you need to get rid of every single day. You need to be relentless with it. Okay, because those things are going to be the things that trip you up. Those unimportant things, those very trivial things in your to-do list, okay, are oftentimes the things that are tripping you up. Okay, catching up on your latest season of Breaking Bad that takes you 14 hours to do. Don't do that until you have your other shit together. Okay. And then most people give up on their goals by March. So what you need to do now, take out your notepad, guys. This is where I'm going to give you the framework. Okay, I'm going to give you the framework now. So hopefully I've kind of got you fired up, kind of got you sitting back and going, oh my gosh, he's totally speaking to me right now. And I need to really change this. If I'm going to make 2016 great, it's not just going to be about jotting down my stuff on a different planner. It's not going to be just about having Trevor walk me through how to set my goals differently. Okay, it's going to be about changing you at a fundamental level, and then organizing your goals so that you can actually achieve them, and organizing them so they're actually the important things that you should be accomplishing. Here's a really great way to really weed down what you should be focusing on in 2016. If you knew that you kind of going back to the whole morbid thing, because it really helps me with urgency. If you knew that your last day on earth was going to be February 1st, 2017. If you knew your last day on earth, and I'm not saying that you're getting in a rocket ship, that you applied for the NASA Mars program and you're going to be going up in Mars in their spaceship. I'm talking you're not going to be here anymore. Okay, but you can't tell your family. No one else knows that but you. What things would you immediately get off of your lap in 2016? If you knew that your last day on earth was February 1st, 2017. Okay. Or take it out a year. Let's say your last year on earth was February 1st, 2018. Okay, which gives it a little bit less urgency. What things in your life would you get rid of because you would now realize they're not important? It could be that job that you don't like, but you're holding on to because of that sense of security. Okay, that you look back in 20 years and you go, oh my gosh, I wish I would have taken a chance on myself in 2016. Okay, it could be that relationship in your life that either needs to change or go away because it's limiting you, it's hampering you, it's giving you limiting beliefs in your life that are holding you back. Okay, it could be that business model you've taken on that just isn't panning out. You need to get rid of it. It could be that business partner that you took on that's dragging you down. Okay, it could be those things you're bringing from your childhood that ingrain certain things in your life that you're believing that are holding you back that you know that aren't true. We need to get rid of all those things. Okay, and get rid of all the things that you're doing in your business as much as you can that are not going to serve you. So what would you get rid of if you knew your last day on earth was going to be February 1st, 2016 or 2017? Okay, that's going to help you get better focused on what things you should be doing. So what you need to do first, guys, is I want to take a different piece of paper, and we're going to start at the top. We're going to write vision. Okay, so your big vision, right? Big vision. Okay, right at the top of the paper. And what I want you to do is, you're not going to have enough time to finish this on this call. I want you out of the framework. I want you to go away and finish it after this. Carve out that day, like I said, full day in the next seven days to focus on this. If you don't do it, do not come to me next year and say, oh my gosh, my year was not like I planned. Okay. If you choose to do this, you're going to have a lot more you're going to be a lot more apt to be successful this next year. If you choose to not carve out that full day and you're like, I'll just do it in a couple hours. Okay, you can shortcut the process. And like I said, don't come crying back to me in a year because you're in the same situation you are then as you are now. Okay, so take the time after this to really focus on it. So write big vision. And you might not have the answer to this right now, but hopefully you've been getting a lot more clear during this call on what it is that you want to tackle and accomplish this next year. And I'll tell you a quick story about when I was making that transition. Everyone always says, man, you've got to figure out your purpose in life. You've got to figure out your mission in life. What is your mission? Why are you here on earth? And I would come up with things that I thought were kind of what I should say, like empower 1 million entrepreneurs to do whatever. I thought those were exciting at the time, but they didn't hit me in my core. And you can kind of feel when things are right. When things are right, things are light. Like things feel great. Your shoulders feel great. There's not a pit in your stomach. You feel like you can jump and run and do all kinds of things. When it's light, it's right. Okay. When I would think of my vision and my purpose in life, everything felt kind of heavy. I was almost like I was faking through it because I knew people told me that I had to come up with a purpose and vision, a purpose in life. And the thing that finally freed me up and made it light was to stop looking for that mission purpose, was to stop looking for those. Okay. This is, I think, 2012 or 2011. I said, you know what? I'm going to stop putting the pressure on myself to find my purpose in life. Okay. Because everything I come up with, it just doesn't hit me. And I feel like I've got a I feel like I'm destined to do big things, but for some reason I can't peg it. And I was putting all this pressure on myself. Okay. And what I said is, okay, I'm just going to totally bag trying to come up with my purpose in life for now. I'll find it someday, or it'll find me. What I am going to do is I'm going to make a purpose and a theme for this next year. Okay, this next year, if I could just make a purpose for this next year, it might not be the purpose for my whole life, but I can make it the purpose for the next year that motivates me. I'm going to do that. And what it was I had not been doing things in my life, like I mentioned before, as good as I could possibly have done them. I would go wash a dish, I'd put it on the counter instead of putting it in the dishwasher. I would not fold my clothes in my dresser, kind of things like that. Okay, I said, you know what? And also, I wouldn't focus on building a company as well as I could possibly do it. I'd half-ass it, then I'd go and do something else. My half-assing was still pretty darn good, but I knew there was a lot left in the tank that I was not really achieving and not helping as many people as I could. So I said, okay. So my vision, my purpose this next year is honestly just to look back at the end of this year and say, everything that I did that year, I did as best as I could possibly humanly do. Okay. And that was my only goal during the year, literally. It was to look back at the end of the year and say, you know what? My mission, purpose, everything this year is only to look back and say, everything that I chose to do this year, I did as best as I could possibly do. Business wise, I got focused and I said, I can't do best I could possibly do if I'm working on 4 different things. I picked one. Okay. And that one thing at the middle of 2013, start of 2013 was Carrot. Okay. That's how Carrot was born, guys and gals. It was okay. I wanted to choose one thing and challenge myself this year to do as best as I could possibly do. And I need to get focused on it. Okay. And Carrot's blowing up now. I mean, it's being completely candid and transparent. We are valued well into the millions of dollars, this company, because we're helping so many people because we're so focused. Okay, we do in 7 figures a year in revenue because we're so focused on helping our client get what they want in life. And we're so focused on this one thing. And it never would have happened without that. So if you're struggling to find your own purpose, if you're struggling to find your own mission in life, stop struggling. Like totally take the pressure off, make it light and go, okay, my mission this next year is to do the best I can possibly do at every part of my life. So when I look back at in December 31st in 2016, I can go, you know what? There were some things that probably could have improved, but I did not half-ass one thing. Okay, I did everything the best I could possibly do. And as soon as I made that decision, I remember finding myself, literally, I remember this moment. I was in the kitchen, got done with dinner, I washed the dish. I took the dish, I put it on the counter, I turned around like I normally would do. I did that for years. And I've had full intentions in the past of putting that dish in the dishwasher later that night, right? But I walked away 3 steps and I stopped like dead in my tracks and said, that's not the best I can do. I turned around, took that damn dish, put it in the dishwasher, closed it, and said, okay, now it is. And I went on with my way. Those little things in life, guys and gals, and I know I'm hitting on this hard. I know you guys logged into this call thinking I'm going to give you this massive to-do thing, which I am. But without the mindset shifts, without taking care of the little things, the big things are not going to matter. There's a quote from a 4-star general. He was speaking at a commencement speech a couple years ago. And he was talking about his time in the military. And many of you guys might be on this call who were in the military and can attest to this. That he said, when you're in boot camp in the military, one of the first things they would teach you is how to fold your clothes, how to get your locker just so. And everything had to be exactly the way that they wanted it every single day. Your bed had to be made perfectly this certain way. Your pants had to be pressed. Everything had to be folded this exact way. And it had to be done by a certain time. And he said a lot of cadets, himself included, always felt that it was weird. They're like, we're coming here to be warriors, right? We're coming here to be warriors. We're not coming here to learn how to fold clothes and do certain things. They're like, I get the discipline part, whatever. He said it didn't become apparent to him why the little things were so important until he was in battle. Until he was in battle in a foxhole next to another soldier who they were relying on each other for their own lives. And he said at that moment he realized that he did not want to be in a foxhole with a person who did not take care of those little things at the beginning of the day. He did not want to be in a foxhole with a person who had these loose ends all untied in their life, including not having their bed made. Because when it came down to the times when we're life or death, it was the person who had their shit together that he was wanting to be with. Okay, that's why those little things are so important. Okay, so write what your big vision is. If you already know what your big vision is, amazing. If you don't and you're having a tough time with your purpose in life, write, I'm going to look back at the end of this year and know with 100% no doubt that I did everything I could possibly do as best as I can humanly do. And I'm talking the little things like putting your dishes in the dishwasher. I know this sounds hokey, guys, but it works. Okay. If you have your big vision, like with Carrot, as an example, our big vision for this next year is to empower and reach 2,500 real estate investors by the end of this next year, okay, and leverage this platform we have to put the messages out there so we can amplify more leaders like you guys so you guys can do bigger and better things. That's our vision. Okay. You didn't hear me say it's to make $14 million. We're not going to do that next year, by the way. I wish. But you're not going to hear me say put out these 42 features in our software. Your vision has to be exciting. Your vision has to be the thing that is guiding everything. Okay. And like I said, the question is going to help you clarify what that is. Ask yourself this question and write down the answer under the thing that says big vision. This will give you a start. If you were to look back in 12 months at the year that passed, what would have had to happen in order for you to feel that that year was a success? And this question I got from a gentleman named Dan Sullivan, an amazing coach. Great question. If you were to look back in 12 months at the end of that year that passed, or at the year that passed, what would have had to happen in order for you to feel that year was a success? This is a very important question. I ask this question to every single new team member, every single new employee before they get to touch anything with Carrot. Because I want to know that they have the ability to look back at what it's going to take to be happy. And then when you're able to look back on what it's going to take, then you can formulate what it's going to take to get there. Okay, so answer that question, write down your big vision, and work on it later because you're always going to hone it and refine it. Next, what you need to do, underneath that piece of paper, same piece of paper, okay, jot down your intentions for the year on every single important part of your life. Okay, and I'll give you guys a little worksheet here at the end of this call. And I know I'm going over time a little bit here, but I'm getting kind of passionate about certain things, and hopefully it's connecting with the right people. And I know certain people are like, I logged in here for the worksheet, man, and all that stuff you're saying, I don't need. And if it doesn't resonate with you at this point in your life, that's totally cool. Okay, this did not resonate with me 5, 6, 7 years ago either. Okay, if I would have watched this call, no, it's normal stuff. It didn't resonate with me. Okay, it wasn't until I was ready to use it. It wasn't until I was ready to hear it that it changed my life. And you all are going to have your own instance in life where these types of messages are going to be right for you. You might look back in 3 years and go, oh my gosh, now I know what that guy said. Let me go back and find the recording of this call. Okay, but I can assure you that every single person in this call, this could change your life if you take it to heart. So what you need to do, jot down your intentions for the year on every important part of your life. Start with health, because health is the first most important thing. One thing, I'm going to ask you this right now. Okay, what is the one thing in life that if you had to take away every other part of it, you would keep? Okay, what's the one most important thing? Okay, let's kind of go back to that question of if you knew that your last day on earth was going to be February 1st, 2017, what would be the most important thing here? Relationships, education, financial, spiritual, pleasure, leisure, business. My guess is that business is probably going to be further down the list. And we all, when we're doing our goals, we all put so much stock into just putting down business goals. Okay, I did this forever. I would just go out, here's the revenue I want to hit. Here's the amount of customers we want to bring in. Here's this, here's that, business wise. And oh, by the way, let's get healthy. Let's start working out, kind of thing. Okay, but when you look at when you talk to people that are nearing the end of their lives, there was a study done in Australia where they asked hundreds, if not thousands, of people in nursing homes what they had wished that they had spent more time on in their life and done. Almost every single one of them said, "I wish I would have loved more. I wish I would have had built and maintained better relationships." That was number one. It was never money. It wasn't, "I wish I would have made more money." It wasn't, "I wish I would have became an entrepreneur." It wasn't, "I wish I would have visited this island." Okay. It was, "I wish I would have loved more. I wish I would have been loved more and been and built and maintained better relationships." Okay. So jot down your intentions for 2016 and the things that are the most important to you. Okay. In every one of these categories, start with the ones that are the biggest. Start with your relationships. Start with your health. Okay. And then you work your way down to business, education, financial, paying it forward, spiritual, pleasure. Okay. I did this in 2008 for the first time and actually made a worksheet. And I own another website out there. I don't focus any time on it now because I got so focused on Carrot and empowering and amplifying entrepreneurs, people, amplifying leaders, that I just kind of have an assistant of mine running this business that does $3,000 to $5,000 a month for me. So, okay, but what I did is I made this worksheet, and I'm going to give you guys that exact worksheet that I made in 2007, 2008 that I call the Dreams Now worksheet. That was the first thing that got me to think about this stuff in a more organized way. The worksheet hasn't changed since then. I still use it. And it still has a logo of that old website on it. We haven't switched out with Carrot, kind of for mainly nostalgia. And it's going to walk you through how you can do these things. So right there on the left side, you're going to see, and I made this myself in Microsoft Word 7, 8 years ago. On the left side, you're going to have career and business. So you're going to have 6, 7, 8 different lines to write down your ideas and what you want to improve in 2016. You're going to have education. You're going to have family relationship. You're going to have health and wellness, pleasure and leisure, financial, public service, spiritual. Okay. For me, those are the 8 core parts in our life that we should be focusing on and that we should be putting attention and energy toward. Okay. Because if you're spiritually poor, no matter how much money you have, it's not going to matter. Okay. If you're unhealthy physically, no matter how much money you have, it's not going to matter. Okay. If you have no money at all and you're just completely broke there, some of the pleasure and leisure might be a little bit harder to maintain. Your family relationships might be harder to maintain because oftentimes the biggest argument between spouses is financial related. So finances are very, very important. And for people who say you can't buy happiness with money, you're partly true, you're partly false. Because one thing that I've found is if you have a conflict between you and your spouse and you guys are always conflicting about the cleaning of the house, and you're always like, oh my gosh, I'm getting home and I'm already drained from what I'm doing during work and I don't have the time, make some more money to pay a house cleaner. So those marital problems that are being created by the messy house are gone. Money just bought you some happiness right there. Okay, so we've got to go out there and fix our finances. So go through this process, jot down ones as you can right now. I'll give you guys the worksheet to this. But then what you're going to do is on your day that you're going to schedule this next 7 days, go through this again and give it a rating. So you can see that box there next to each task. This is where you're going to start saying no to things, guys. Okay. The putting in your ideas is where your mind is getting all those open loops out of your mind. It's clearing your mind. Okay. Clearing out the mind space from your ideas, getting them onto paper. And those are all the yeses you once said yes to, that yes, I think I want to do this sometime. Okay. And then on this paper, there's a scaling of rating of 1 to 10. You can only rate one thing on each thing a number. So you can't rate 5 things a 10. Okay. You could rate one thing as a 10 that's the most important, then the next most important thing is a 9, then an 8, as you go down. Okay. So everything can't be a 10, everything can't be a 5 because that just gives you more confusion. You have to prioritize the most important things in each one of these. Then you're going to take the number one thing from each one of those, or however you rate this. Okay. If you rate number 1 as the most important, go with that number. If you rate 10 as the most important, whatever, just do the same for all of them. Take your most important things from each one of these categories and move them over to the right, to that next sheet. And these are your 3 most, and pick the top 3. Okay. These are your 3 most important goals for 2016. So you just took all those things out of your mind, put them onto paper, prioritize them. You're going to say no to anything that is not in the top 3 in that list. Okay, those are going to be complete no's to in 2016. Okay, you might write 7 amazing things for pleasure and leisure in 2016. Get rid of the bottom 4. Pick the top 3. Okay, you might write 18 different things in the financial. Okay, you can't tackle 18 things in 2016 and do them all well. Pick the top 3. Okay, or pick the top 1, whatever it is. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pick the top 3 out of all those that are the most important things that we're going to focus our energy in 2016. You're going to move them over to the right. Goal number 1, here's the action steps and how to do it. Here's my due dates. Goal number 2, action steps that are going to get me there. Here's the due dates for them. Goal number 3, action steps that are going to get you to that point. Here's the due dates. As an example, let's say in the business side of it, you say, I want my business to be I want my business to bring in at least 5 deals from the web in this next 12 months from online leads. Okay, just like Josh, just like Tim on this call. Okay, so you might go, well, shoot, what is it going to take to actually do that? I haven't even set up my website yet, or I've already set up my website and I've kind of started to get going. So action step number 1 might be set up my website, okay, which we can help you set up a more effective system with Carrot if you're not using Carrot. Step 2 might be learn or talk to someone to get clear on my strategy. Okay, step 3 might be implement the strategy they teach. And that might be all that you're able to put down right now until you learn what the strategy is, and then you build out the rest of your steps. Okay, it might be a health and wellness thing. You say, I want to lose 30 pounds. Put a why next to it. Okay, and that's one of the important things I kind of skipped over there, is you guys need to put your why next to each one of these things. Okay, each one of these top 3 goals, it's the goal, and then it's a why. Okay, So I want to lose 30 pounds. Why? Why is that important? Why is that emotionally important to you to lose 30 pounds in 2016? What's that going to mean to your life? Okay. And then put the steps in how to solve that. Okay. Step number 1, sign up for a gym membership. Step number 2, get an accountability partner to go with me. Okay. Step number 3, buy new shoes because the shoes I currently have I'm using as an excuse for why I can't work out. Okay. Step number 4, carve out in my schedule this 90 minutes every single day and make it non-negotiable. Step number 5, go do my first workout and hire a personal trainer. Step number 6, blah. Okay, whatever. You guys get the idea. So put down the goal and then the why. And the why has to be an emotional why. If you don't have an emotional why that's attached to it, like for me, that emotional why was I was really, really, literally in the dumps, and I'm not a person that even likes the word depressed. I thought everything about depression was like in people literally made up. During this 2 years of my life, I was actually depressed, and I never thought I would ever get depressed in my life. And I was depressed. I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to wake up and do the things that I had set in my to-do list. But as soon as I had a powerful emotional why attached to why I was growing this business, and that why was to finally do my best in life and look back and know that I did my best at an emotional level, it worked. Okay, so we have to tie our what's to an emotional why. Now I'll give you guys that worksheet. Okay, so after you go through those things, you're going to create a theme for the year, and I want you to write this theme down. Okay, so you've got your goals and to-dos and stuff here. Now I want you to write on this piece of paper your theme. Okay, and just write theme. Every single year, I pick a theme for the year, and sometimes the theme is about one specific thing, like health and fitness. Here's some of the ones that I picked in the past several years. The theme for one of the years was to look back and know I did the best I could possibly do on everything I did. That was the theme. Literally, I had that written out, plastered on my wall, and I looked at it every day because it reminded me that was what I wanted my theme for the year to be. I wanted to look back at the end of the year and know that I lived that theme. Okay, another year was health and activity over everything else. And that's honestly, I'm redoing that theme to 2016 because I did not live that very good in 2015. Okay, but same thing, write it down, take it and plaster it on your wall, plaster it on your computer, plaster it wherever it is that you're going to be living and walking and doing things every single day. Because we need to have that refreshed in our mind every single day. We can't write it down one time, close our notepad, and go, that's my theme, I'm going to remember it. You won't remember it in the most important times. The most important times you need to see it, you need it to remind you. You need to plaster it on your wall. If you look in my office, of course, I'm in our townhouse right now, our vacation home. If you look in my office, I've got our core values plastered on the wall. I've got my theme. I've got this focusing question. I'm always reminding myself with these external triggers that I need to do certain things because I'm not perfect and none of us are. We all need those reminders, okay? Another thing was building something great with massive focus, okay? That was 2015's theme. Building something great with massive focus. We did that. And we're going to be doing something even more amazing with you guys this next year. So create a theme for the year. Write it down. The theme should encompass overall what is it that you want to live this year. Okay, and then write that thing down. Put it on your wall. Next, this is where the magic comes in. Okay, so what I used to do with my goals, guys and gals, I would write all those goals like I showed you on the Goals Now worksheet. I would keep the worksheet. I would get really demotivated because I wasn't hitting those goals. And by the dates that I was setting, I would take the worksheet, I'd put it in my drawer, and I would forget about it by about April or May. Okay, that's the way that I used to do it. And the reason for that is at a human level, we can't focus very long. Okay, there's been study after study done that especially males, and all you females are out there going, yeah, I knew it, especially males, our attention span and our ability to focus has been going down as the immersion into technology has gone up, okay? So as you can imagine, we all have all these reminders from our phones. We all are stuck to our computers. It's like everything we're attached to technology. Facebook is killing people's productivity and people's happiness in many circumstances. Okay, it's like you're a squirrel. As soon as you log into Facebook, your head is just going everywhere. You're a squirrel chasing after these different nuts and seeing what Mary made for dinner tonight and seeing the car that this guy posted, but you're not seeing the real part of their life. Okay, so what we have to do is, knowing that we get so distracted easily, knowing that we all get out of our motivation easily, you're gonna hopefully leave this call motivated, and I can guarantee you in about 2 to 3 weeks you're probably gonna have a dip where you're less motivated. Okay, so we have to make sure to find ways to get us back in. And one of the best ways to do it is taking cue from the corporate world. The corporate world sets a yearly goal, but they always break it down into quarters. Okay, that's why you see the big public companies. They make their quarterly estimates. They make their quarterly announcement. Hey, here's what happened, kind of thing. Okay, because they know that when they break things down by the quarter, the chunks are smaller and more achievable. You apply that to real life. Let's say you're wanting to lose 30 pounds, like I said. If you set that as a goal at the end of the year, it might seem like it's this crazy, unachievable thing. But if you say, okay, during this year, in January, February, March, I'm going to lose my first 10 pounds. Okay, just 10 pounds is all. Okay, you look at that and go, well, shoot, I can lose 10 pounds in 3 months. So all I have to do is go in and get a nutrition plan and start to work out, right? Lose 10 pounds. That's easy to do as long as you know that what the steps are to do that. But if you look at it and go, oh my gosh, 30 pounds, where is that going to come from? Okay, so 10 pounds the first quarter. Okay, next quarter, you're going to say, you know what? The first quarter, I think I'm going to be able to burn more. Let's just shoot for 7 pounds the next quarter. Okay, and then the next quarter, it's X and whatever, and it finishes with 30. Okay, break your year, your big goals down into 90-day chunks. And what I want you to do is start living in what's called a 90-day year. Okay, I didn't make that phrase up. It's been said by many people, but it really resonated with me. I think there's a book called 90-Day Year, actually. But break it down into 90-day chunks. Okay, as soon as you set those annual goals that we just did, almost get those out of your mind. Okay, we do that. We do that here with Carrot, where we set our annual goals and we work everything backwards. Okay, the only reason we set the annual goals, honestly, is so we can have something to work backwards from. Okay, we don't set the goal and then work toward the goal. Okay, guys, which is what I used to do in the past. What most people do with their to-do list. What we do is we set the goal and we work backwards. So, as an example, if your goal is to make $100,000 net this year in 2016. That's your big financial goal. Write that down at the top. Now let's break it into quarterly. What do you need to do each quarter to reach that? Okay, and it's going to be a lot easier to break it up into quarters. So maybe the first quarter, because you're just getting going, you're probably not going to make the $25,000 the first quarter, so it's 4 even chunks. But let's say you do your first deal this first quarter and do $10,000. Okay, so that's your goal for the first quarter, is to do $10,000 and then work it backwards. Okay, how many deals do I need to do to get 10 grand? Okay, well, the average deal, the average wholesale deal anyway, is about $10,000. If you're flipping houses, the house flipping profit is over $40,000, according to Realty Track. Okay, so you're going, okay, well, shoot, so that's just one deal. I can do one deal in the next 3 months, right? I can do one deal. So now you're not looking at it as, oh my gosh, I'm making $100,000 this year. I just need to do one deal this next 90 days. That's it. Then you work backwards some more and write down these steps as you're going. Okay, you work it backwards. And what we're doing here, guys and gals, is we're making a theme and we're making our to-do list right now. So as we're going through this working backward phase, making these 90-day chunks, you are creating your to-do list for the first week in January. Okay, you're creating your to-do list for the first month in January right now. Okay, and I go through and do this every single quarter, and as much as you can, I know it's really tough for me to go and refresh it every day. As much as you can do that, I know for me it's really, really hard. And honestly, my team, I have to surround myself with really organized people because I'm still not that organized. But I am a vision person. They help rein me in and make sure that we're focusing on these things and doing them. Okay, so as we're working back, we go, okay, one deal in 90 days, awesome. Average wholesale deal is $10,000. We're going, okay, so that's one deal. Then you go, okay, how many? So what do I have to do to get a deal? You go, okay, so if we're focusing on online marketing as an example, you can use the same example with the web or knocking on doors or emailing people on Craigslist or whatever. You go, okay, so how many leads do I need to get on average that turn into a good deal? If you've never done a deal before, talk to other investors on Bigger Pockets or whatever. But on average with InvestorCarrot, if you're marketing for motivated sellers, and it really depends on the market and the way you're doing your marketing and how good you are at negotiating deals. But on average, it's about 1 out of every 13 and 1 out of every 15 leads turns into a deal. Okay, so now you're going, shoot, all I need to do is generate, like, let's bump that up so there's a margin of error. All I need to do is really generate, let's say, 20 leads in the next 90 days, next 3 months to do that $10,000. Shoot, that's way achievable. Okay, now how do I get those 20 leads? This is where you turn into your action plan. Okay, this is how you get your to-do list going. You go, okay, to get 20 leads, I first of all need a website. So that's action step number 1. Second of all, I need to learn how to get people to my website. Action step number 2, engage with Carrot, engage with our 3 lead per day, or a Craigslist course, implement one of those courses to get leads coming in. And you go, okay, so how many people do I need to get on my website to get those 20 leads? Okay, well, we can tell you guys what an average conversion rate is on a website. Okay, and for motivated sellers, the average is about 9.5% of every qualified person who lands on your website is going to convert to a lead. Okay, so if you need 20 leads to do that deal, conservatively, like I said, I kind of bumped it up to add a margin of error there. If you need 20 leads to do the deal and your website's converting at about 10%, you need to get about 200 people to your website during those 3 months. Okay, you might be going, okay, how do I do that? Guys, you guys could email, literally, you want to do a deal in the next 90 days, you guys could email 50 for sale by owner sellers and Craigslist every day, and you'll likely get a deal done. Okay, most people aren't going to stick with it because they're lazy, but you could do it that way. Okay, you could do like Timothy Opple here, pay-per-click. Okay, so Tim's like, I know I need to get traffic. I know that traffic turns into leads with InvestorCarrot, and I know that I can negotiate well enough to turn into a deal. I just need to get X amount of traffic to my website and convert it, and that turns into a deal. And within his first several months, he did several deals. Okay, so work all of your goals backwards like that, to where basically you have it so granular that that becomes your to-do list. That becomes your theme for the week. You go, okay, all I need to do is get 200 people to my website during these 3 months. So in January, my goal is to get 75 people to my website. Okay, and then in the first week of January, my goal is I'm just going to go balls to the wall. My goal is to I'm going to get my first 10 people to my website in the first week of January, but also half of that first week, I'm going to implement some things that Carrot tells me to do to make it more effective. Okay, and then the next week, I'm going to get 30 people to my website. I'm going to do that through a mix of sending out a lot of Craigslist emails, and I'm going to do pay-per-click. Okay, and then at the same time, I'm going to start my search engine optimization and have someone else do it. So as time goes, things really start to take off. Okay, so really work your goals back in 90-day chunks, and that's going to help you create your themes for the week, for the month, the quarter, and the year. Okay? And hopefully that makes sense for you guys. I can totally go into that in more detail. And the very last thing, okay, so once you get all that down in place there, is you really need to have this process of refreshing that, of rethinking of it, refreshing it. Okay, always looking at where you are as opposed to that 90-day chunk goal. Okay? And working backwards to go, okay, what do I need to do to achieve that during this quarter? And if you're able to achieve that each quarter, your goal at the end of the year is going to happen. Okay? If you're able to achieve your quarterly mission, your goal at the end of the year is going to happen. Okay? If you're able to achieve that mission each week, which feeds into the mission for that month, which feeds into you achieving that quarterly mission, which feeds into you achieving that annual mission, it's going to happen. Okay, so start looking at the things that you're doing in your day and going, are these things helping me with the mission that I'm currently on for this quarter? Okay, are they the very next thing I should be doing to make this mission a reality? If not, those are your distractions. Okay, and one of the most effective practices I've ever implemented in my business, guys and gals, this is the last slide, and I'd love to take questions. One of the most effective practices I've ever implemented in my business and life. This happened 2 years ago first. I didn't do too well with it in 2015. I should have done better, but I'm reigniting it this year. Is you need to have a consistent, continual out of office day, or a unplugged day, or an empowerment day, or whatever the heck it is that you want to call it. This literally needs to be completely no work, completely disconnect from all technology. Okay, just bring your pad of paper with you. Okay, ideally go somewhere where you can't have the distraction. My favorite place for this is this place about 45 minutes from my house called the Steamboat Inn, and it's on this majestic river called the North Umpqua River. It's one of the top fly fishing rivers in the world. It is amazingly beautiful. It's my favorite spot to do mountain biking as well. I just love this place. I'm like at peace when I'm at this river. And also, I don't go to the river enough, so I make it an excuse for myself so I can go to the river more, because it really helps to replenish me. So find what your version of that is. It could be the beach. It could be your home office if you really love that. It could be whatever, whatever it is. Find your version of that place that's kind of your happy place. Okay. And right now, before the end of this day, schedule every single quarter one full out of office day, one full unplugged day, whatever you want to call it. During that day, what are you going to do? You're going to do this process. This process we've been talking about today, guys, you're going to do it that day, every single quarter. Okay? You're going to reflect on how the quarter was. You're going to reflect on how the year has gone so far. You're going to jot down the things that you've done great. Celebrate those wins. Okay, everyone on this call, if your 2015 did not go as well as you wanted it to go, probably the first thing I should have started this with is look at the things that did go the way that you wanted them to go. Look at the things that were amazing for you in 2015. Okay, jot those down, recognize them, celebrate them, have gratitude for those things. Because no matter who you are, you had some amazing things that happened to you this year. This call could maybe be one of those things for you, hopefully. Jot those down and celebrate them. Okay, that's the first thing I do with my quarterly offsite. Okay, my quarterly offsite is I celebrate the wins. I look back and go, man, what did we achieve? What did we do? Whether it's business, personal, professional, celebrate it. Oh my gosh, it was amazing that we did that. I'm so grateful for that. Okay, then jot down the things that you set the intention to do that quarter and just really didn't do. And then write why. Why did they not get done? And sometimes the why is they just weren't that important. I thought they were, but they're not. I'm just going to cross them off the list now. That's a big fat no now. Sometimes it's, you know what, I'm still doing way too many things I shouldn't be doing. I need to get rid of these. Sometimes it's a mindset issue you need to get past. Okay. After you do that, go through the process I'm walking through. You read your big vision. Make sure it still resonates with you. Get excited about that big vision for the year. Okay. Go through your goal sheet that you just set up or that you're setting up. Go through those top things that you jotted down and say, and how am I doing on these? Okay. What can I do better? What can I celebrate on these? What do I need to walk away from this offsite each day, this quarter? And implement and put in my schedule right now so this doesn't happen when I'm in my offsite next quarter. Okay. And then look at your theme and mission for that next quarter. Okay. So I didn't achieve these 4 things this quarter like I hoped that I would, but I did get these done. So amazing. Congratulations. These things I need to move into the next quarter. It's going to adjust my quarter a little bit, but my theme for this next quarter is ramping up my traffic. Okay. Or my theme for this next quarter is getting the foundation set for my online marketing. Once you nail that, then the theme the next time is ramping up the traffic. Theme the next time is closing more deals. Okay. That kind of thing. Okay. And then pull away from that offsite with a very clear intention on what you did great that quarter, what you could improve on. Very clear intention on what your theme is for that next quarter. Your number one overall goal in each one of your important things, your health, your relationships, your financial. Okay. And then put things in your calendar when you get back home that day or that night or the next morning, or that are the action items that you need to put in that calendar to make those things happen. Okay, do this every single quarter. Do it without fail. And if you do this without fail every single quarter and make this the most important thing that quarter, your year in 2016 will be much more effective, happy, and successful. Okay, your quarterly offsite is one of the most effective things you can be doing in 2016. And do not don't go, oh my gosh, how am I gonna carve out time to do that? I'm already too busy. If you don't carve out the time, that busy is gonna get worse. Okay, you don't carve out the time, that unaccomplished feeling at the end of the year is gonna get worse. Okay, this time should be scheduled first, then everything else should be scheduled. Okay, do that quarterly offsite and then go out there and crush it. Okay, so let me bounce out here, guys. And like I said, I know this call went a bit longer than intended, but I hopefully you see kind of my passion shining through here on why this topic is so damn important. Okay, because everything you're implementing in your business, everything you're implementing in your websites with InvestorCarrot, without InvestorCarrot, whatever it is, everything you're implementing pulls back to, are you organizing it in a thoughtful and focused way? Go back to, once again, thinking about that analogy of your dresser drawer. What happens with that dresser drawer when you just organize it at the start of the year, and then you only notice how unorganized it is when you see the mess? Okay. Between those times, between the time that you organized it and the time you realized it, that was messing with your mind the whole time and you didn't even know it. Okay. That's the same thing with our years. I'm going to put a cap to this whole discussion now, and we'll dive in and have a question and answers. Scott, I know I'm an hour over, man. If it's putting you off, dude, go ahead and hop off the webinar. So anyway, guys, so if you're not going through this process of cleaning stuff up on a daily basis, then you're going to find those points where your dresser's messy again, and it's going to be messing with your mind. So, guys, implement the process. Okay, get clear on things, get focused on things. Say no to almost everything in 2016. Realize your mortality because we're not going to be here forever. Put urgency behind it. Have a big vision for this next year. Go through the process I'm showing you. Download the worksheet. I'll give you a link that you guys. We'll put the worksheet download link up next to the replay. We'll get this replay up tomorrow. Okay, online. Okay, and then go through and time block your stuff into 90-day blocks, 90-day missions, and then work your goals back from there and what you need to do to achieve that goal for that 90 days each month. Okay, and stop thinking about your annual goal after you set them. Right after that, guys, it's just your quarterly goals. Okay, all right, guys. Let's see. Yeah, Chapin. So, can you share your spreadsheet? Definitely. We'll put this up next to the replay of this. You guys can dive into it. Yep, for sure, Scott. Thank you. Awesome, Brian. Brian says great stuff. Goal worksheet. We'll put it up next to the download, guys. So Philip says, are there any books that summarize this process? Well, honestly, man, this is like a combination of probably 6 or 7 different things. I've never written a book on this specifically, but going through this 2-hour webinar is quicker than probably reading a 200-page book. But it's a combination of books. There's a book, like I said, called Essentialism, which I really enjoyed. The Pumpkin Plan. I think there actually is a book called 90-Day Plan. I haven't read it, but Sharon, one of our customers, I'm pretty sure mentioned that she had read that. And yeah, I mean, those 3 books there, if you were able to read those books, they would sum up some of those important parts of this for sure. But what I went through today is kind of what works for me. Like I said, don't think that you have to implement this and this is only going to work for you, or it's going to work for everyone. Because I've gone that route. I've tried to implement stuff that everyone says is going to work for everyone, and it hasn't. So I kind of came up with a combination of my own. And like I said, what worked for me was finding my own mortality, getting excited about something that hit me at my core for that year. Okay, saying no to almost everything except for the big stuff that excited me and gave me energy. So my line was going like that instead of 40 different directions. And then having a big goal and vision for the year that excited me, working that back into 90-day chunks. Okay, and then that making it easier for me to plan out what I should be doing every day. So that's the summarization of that process. But yeah, there's not a book that I know of that goes over it. Fritz says, "Wow, thank you so much. These points are well taken. I will surely put it to practice this next year." And like I said, guys and gals, your next most important thing. So if you invested the time on this call, I greatly appreciate it. I mean, you guys don't know how much I appreciate you guys investing this time on this call. Okay, because it's taken me years to get to the point to where I can articulate this thing that's working for me. And I know it's going to adjust. I know it's going to change as I go, and I'll share those with you. But yeah, it's just really amazing that you guys were on the call with me, and it's even more amazing if you guys take it and implement it after this, okay? Because just being on the call is not the most important thing you can do with this. It's taking those things that we walked through. It's taking those and then carving out your first out of office day, offsite, whatever the heck you want to call it. Your first offsite should literally be in the next 7 days. And just so you guys know that I'm practicing what I preach, on December 31st, I'm having an offsite at the river at Steamboat Inn. So I'm gonna be at this place within the next week and a half, doing my offsite for Q1. All right, awesome, Sonny. Sonny says great presentation, all kinds of exclamation points. Ken, great call. Ken, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you and the InvestorCarrot staff and all members. Awesome, man. You too, dude. Frederick, does your staff offer strategy sessions one-on-one with Carrot members to look at our sites and our strategies and goals? Yes, 100% for sure. So we offer complimentary strategy sessions as long as they're not abused. Okay, so our whole goal is to help you guys crush it. But we have had from time to time where people come on and they try to schedule a strategy session like every week, and I'm going, you guys need to implement what we already talked about in the last one, and or you can pay for coaching. Okay, so our intentions with the strategy sessions are when you need them, schedule them, and let's get it done. But if it's something where it turns into every week or every month, we just can't do a weekly free strategy session for 1,500 investors. Okay, but Frederick, we're here for you. All you have to do is go here, go to oncarrot.com/call. Okay, and honestly, the best thing that you guys can do if you're a Content Pro member is show up to these mastermind calls every week. Okay, because these mastermind calls are where you can ask these questions, and we will dive into your specific situation, Frederick. And you can say, hey, I'm at the top of page 2 or I'm in the middle of page 2. How do I get to the top of page 1 for this keyword? We're going to tell you exactly what you need to do on that mastermind call. Okay, and we have those every single week, and they're free for Carrot Content Pro members, as long as you're in that plan. And then use the strategy calls after you've used that mastermind call to ask questions and engage. Then use the strategy calls if you need to take it further. Okay, so that's where you go to the strategy call, and then make sure you're signing up for our weekly mastermind calls for sure. Wilbert, thanks for sharing the foundation of success, Trevor. Man, I appreciate you sharing the time with me. Brian, great question, dude. So Brian says, is it better to start with one website or 3? So this is kind of going into the marketing side, guys. And great question, Brian. These are the exact types of questions that are great on mastermind calls, on our normal mastermind calls. So my quick answer is it depends, right? It depends on your strategy. My drilled down answer is I always like to start with one. And it's basically because of simplicity. It's because of this picture right here, okay? Because too many people, they'll log into a Carrot account, and if you have a Content Pro membership that enables you up to 3 websites, they'll be like, oh, let me just launch 3 websites right now and let's get them out there. And what you're doing is you're like starting 3 little arrows at once, okay? But what I would rather do is pick the one that's the most important to your business. If you're needing cash buyers the most right now, set up a cash buyer website, go through the whole Carrot guide. So go to help.oncarrot.com. We have what we call our Carrot guide. So make sure you use this Carrot guide, and it's going to walk you through exactly what you need to do in each phase to crush it, okay, with your Carrot websites. So I would start with the one that's the most important, Brian. If it's motivated sellers, start that one. Okay, get that one up. Go through phase 1, get the website tweaked up and customized the way that you want it. And then get into phase 2, which is short-term traffic, getting your first visitors to your website and implementing some marketing. Then phase 3 is you're not going to implement phase 3 for probably a couple months after you start your membership. Okay. Phase 1 should last anywhere between a day to 2 weeks, depends on how much time and energy you want to put into it. Phase 2, that's really your first 6 weeks. You're in that phase 2, getting traffic to your website. Okay. So yeah, Brian, great question, man. Pick the one that's most important for you. Okay. And Brian, dude, awesome question. Brian says never done a deal yet, man. Just like with Timothy Apple, just like with a lot of other Carrot members, we all have to start somewhere, and we would love to engage with you and ask those hard questions to us. So go set up a strategy call with Adrian if you haven't already. Let's see, go right here on carrot.com/call. Go set up a strategy call with Adrian, Brian, after the start of the year, after you've had a chance to go through this process that I just walked you through. And Adrian will help give you clarity on what's next. But make sure before you guys hop on those strategy calls, please, please, please go through the Carrot guide, okay? Because oftentimes the answer to the questions that you ask are in the Carrot guide already. Okay, so we're just going to be referring you back to certain parts of the Carrot guide oftentimes anyway. And then for sure, come to the mastermind calls after you've started to implement Carrot guide stuff. We can dive into on the mastermind calls and help you through things. Okay, we can help you do things on those mastermind calls. And then the strategy calls, like I said, are kind of to come in after that to go, okay, do you kind of need some more gasoline to the fire? That's where those strategy calls come in. Okay. Clinton says, great. Glad to see you back, Trevor. Great webinar. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to your family. Thanks, buddy. You too, man. Okay. Josh, awesome question, dude. I saw it earlier and I am going to answer it, by the way. Okay, it's cool. Noel, so loving this content, Trevor. Tim says, reading the Pumpkin Plan now. Dude, here's a quick tip, Tim. I bought the Pumpkin Plan book, but honestly, dude, I didn't make it past page 18 in the book, okay? Because the way that my mind works now, like I said, is I went from this to this. As soon as I got what I needed out of that book, which was on page 16, which was that, the process where it showed step 1, step 2, step 3, the mindset shift and how to trim and how to prune your vine. Dude, as soon as I got that, shut the book, I was done. And I haven't read the rest of it. And that's the way that I tend to consume content is as soon as I get the thing that I need to implement right now that's going to change it, book done, shut, I'm on to the next thing. And you guys can all get the first chapter of the Pumpkin Plan, which I suggest everyone read the first chapter. You guys can all get it for free. If you go to Google and type the Pumpkin Plan PDF, the Pumpkin Plan PDF, and it's this very first thing right here. You can download the first chapter for free. And this is all that I've read in the book. I've got the book physically in my office. I've given the book to probably 50 people. I bought it and given it to them because it meant so much to the way I changed things. But you guys can get the first chapter in here, and this is what made the most difference to me. Okay, the Pumpkin Plan PDF. Just Google that. Alrighty, it's a great book, Tim. So I'm completely distracted right now. I just saw myself in the video. Those golf clubs back there are like 80 years old. They're wooden golf clubs. They're kind of cool. Completely distracted. Sorry. Okay, so Ed, Essentialism, great book. Awesome, guys. Lots of people saying they were really spread thin earlier. Okay, cool. Let's get through some of these questions, guys. There's a lot of stuff in here. Amazing stuff. Kiana Marshall says, thanks so much for this call. Very helpful. Tim says, great book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. Awesome. Right there, guys. Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. So, Tim, are you saying that's the title of a book? I haven't read that one. But I'm definitely living more of that now, which is it clears your mind so much. Brian, this is all relevant. Brandon, would not worry as much. Yeah, Brandon, totally, man. Brandon says, can this worksheet be shared with business partners and friends? So get this, guys. So the first time I did that the Dreams Now worksheet, the one that I created, this is like in 2007. I took that worksheet, and because in the past I had taken my goals, I'd taken my vision, I took them and I put them in my thing and I shut it, and I put that thing on my desk and I wouldn't look at it all the time. But like I said before, what I found is so important for me anyway is that I have to constantly have external triggers to get me back on track. I'm such like a squirrel, like chasing that that next nut, that literally I have to have these external triggers around me that get me back on track. And for me, taking my goal sheet, Brandon, I taped that damn thing in my living room wall that first year. I don't do that now. But I taped that thing in my living room wall that first year in a spot that anyone who would visit would have to see it, okay? And we didn't have a whole heck of a lot of visitors then because I didn't have family and we were in a new city. We didn't have family up there. But I taped it where I had to walk by it every day to go back to my bedroom. My wife saw it, so I was becoming real with it myself. Friends who would come over would see it. And every now and then you'd get like someone who'd kind of make a little bit of a joke about it. Like, hey, what's that? You're doing goals and you're Tony Robbins guy. And you'd make people who would read stuff and go, like, how are you going to do that? You kind of thing. And at first it really bugged me and it kind of almost got me to take it down. So I didn't show that to people publicly. But after a little while, I'm like, you know what? That's my damn goal. Like I would start to get defensive about it. Okay. And I'd say just because you believe that you can't do that thing doesn't mean I can't do it. Right. So man, I would 100% do that. Share it. Don't share your massive list. Go through the process and distill it down like I showed you, and then have your big goals with the what and the why. Totally show those to your friends, your partners, okay? Because that's very valuable, big time. Okay. Tim says, after your yearly goals, and first of all, Josh says, what are the top 3 to 5 things you had to do to grow to 7 figures? And I will answer that here in a bit because I honestly need time to think about it because being totally hokey, many of those things literally I just taught, and a lot of people would look at those and go, oh man, those are like obvious kinds of things, but then you're not implementing them in your life, guys. It's those small tweaks that add up to big changes. It's oftentimes not the big change that makes the big difference in your life. It's the small tweaks that add up to the big changes. It's like building a brick wall, one brick at a time. It's really hard to take 400 bricks and stack them all simultaneously and make a wall. Okay. That's more like taking a dump truck and dumping them, and they're going to be in a pile, not a stack. It's not going to achieve your goal, right? But if you take a brick at a time, like, okay, this is me being tidy and tidying up my dresser. Bam, there's a brick. This is me doing this. Bam, there's a brick. This is me doing my quarterly offsite. There's another brick. There's a brick. There's a brick. Before you know it, you don't even know how the heck you got there, but you have this amazing brick wall that is crushing it for you. And that's the same thing with me reaching to 7 figures. This isn't the first time I've done it with the company. And it was always a similar but slightly different process. And literally, I can't say like there were 3 things. There's a lot of them. But I'll think about it here in a second. It's a lot of bricks, a lot of consistency. So Tim says, after your yearly goals, do you set goals for each quarter or just set goals for the following quarter? So yeah, Tim, what I'll usually do is once I get really intentional with that yearly goal, I will kind of like mentally set a goal. Hey, if I do it, if I want to do 20 deals this year, how many is it going to take per quarter? It's going to take about 4, or it's going to take about 5. It's like kind of mentally going through it that way, and then going, okay, well, am I going to really realistically going to be able to get to 5 the first quarter? No, there's probably going to be a ramping up period. So maybe I do 3 the first quarter, and then that bumps it to 5 the next quarter, and then 6 the next quarter, and then 6 the quarter after that. Okay. So yeah, I will do that, Tim. Like I definitely think through that stuff, and then I will jot that down. But the importance I put on the annual goal, on the working back mentally process from the goal to how do I achieve it in a quarter, quarter by quarter basis. And then I just do my quarter. I do my goals for the next quarter. Okay. Because that's the problem that we all do is we all set these goals for the year that are totally irrelevant 3, 4, 5, 6 months into the year. And then you look at your goals and go, well, shit, I can't achieve those now because I'm so far off of them. Okay, so definitely have intention on how those quarters work together to achieve your goal. But what I do is I set my goals for the next quarter, before the quarter starts. Because if you got 2/3 of the way through this quarter and you didn't even come close to reaching your goals, there's no way that the goal that you set for Q3 at the start of the year is even going to be relevant at that point. All right. Yeah, guys. So, the webinar is over. So I'm just answering questions now. A couple people asked when it's going to be over, and I appreciate you guys hanging on, like I said. And if you can't tell, I get passionate about this kind of stuff. So I apologize that it went long, but hopefully it really resonated with certain people. Okay. Chapin says, thank you so much, Trevor. Great stuff. I'm pumped, and no 2016 is going to be exceptional. Awesome. Okay. Tim says, what system do you use to track how much you spend in each marketing campaign? Man, the system that I use is a really good bookkeeper and CFO. Okay. All right. So I get all of those things off of my lap. Those are the things that are not within my unique ability. I get all those off my lap, and I make sure I communicate that stuff with my CFO very well. So at the end of each month, I get a very detailed report from my CFO, which that sounds fancy, but you guys can hire a really good bookkeeper for a couple $100 a month, okay? And they can deliver these reports to you as well. But I get a very detailed report, and it shows me all my expenses, all my everything. It shows what I call key performance indicators, which are the main things in your business that are going to move the needle. Okay, so make sure you have a really good bookkeeper that's tracking the books for you, and that way you can tell them, hey, I really want to know. I'd love a report each month on where my marketing dollars are going. As an example, the ratio of direct mail to this to that, and then you can tie it to what's turning into deals for you on your own. Okay. Tim, man, you had a lot of great questions here, dude, and that's a good indication of where you are in your life and the success you had, the first 3, 4, 5 months with Carrot, because you're soaking it up and you're implementing it, which is huge. So Tim says, how do you figure out the why of when you don't complete your goals? So this is a process. That's a really great question, but it's a tougher answer. This I could have a whole call on this, but I'll give you the cliff notes of it. Is what we do now, Tim, is number one, you have to have that process of evaluation. It's a continual process, like I said, whether it's quarterly to have your quarterly offsite. Okay. Yeah, so Joe, I'm going to put the download link of that goal worksheet on the replay page. Okay. So where the replay page is of our webinars, go to help.oncarrot.com. Okay, and then you're going to find the part that says mastermind calls. Just go right down there, and we're going to have it at the top of this list here. Okay, and I'll send the link through here to everyone. Okay, I just sent it through. So that's where it's going to be. It's going to be there tomorrow, and the download link of that Goals Now worksheet will be there as well. All right, cool. But kind of going back to you, Tim. So what you have to do, and this is one thing I was really bad at before, is I would make the goals. Some of them I wouldn't hit. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't hit. I'd feel bad about it, and I'd just reset a new goal. And I wouldn't evaluate why I did not hit the goal. Okay, I would just assume, well, I didn't hit it. I made the goal too hard. But now what we do is anytime we set a goal, anytime we make a project, even if a project is, here's what we're going to do, here's the deadline on the project. If we didn't get the project done by the deadline, or if things just didn't work the way that we thought, we pull back at the end of those projects, we look at those goals, and we go, okay, what were the bottlenecks? What were those choking points in the process that made it not work? What were those parts in the process, the bottlenecks, that we need to remove so we can make that goal happen? Okay, so as an example, let's say your goal was to do 5 deals in this quarter. Okay, let's just say that was your goal. And let's say you did 2, and you're looking at it going, okay, that was my goal. Why? Let's work it back. Let's celebrate the 2 I did, but let's go, why did I not get the other 3? Okay, you can't just go, okay, I didn't get the other 3, let me move on to Q2. You have to go, okay, why didn't I get it? Why didn't I do it? And start to look at the why. Okay, well, did I get enough leads? Did I get enough leads in with the ratios that I talked about before to do 5 deals? If the answer is no, it's like, well, shoot, that's the bottleneck. The bottleneck is I need more leads. And then you go, okay, how do I get more leads? And then that's going to help you remove that bottleneck. Okay, now I need to ramp this up. I need to do that. If you're like, well, yeah, we got enough leads, but we just didn't convert enough of those leads into a deal. Then you go, okay, what part about that process is the bottleneck? Is it the quality of the lead? Okay, then you need to go look and see where you're getting those leads. Is it your negotiation strategy needs to improve? Is it the area of town those leads are coming in? Okay, so figure out why more of those leads aren't turning into deals. That's a bottleneck. You need to remove it and then tackle it. Okay, so you definitely need to, when you don't reach a goal or a project doesn't go as planned, you always need to have this continual evaluation. Go, okay, why didn't it happen? And then what were the bottlenecks that prevented it from happening? And then identify them and then remove them. Okay, like I said, I could have a whole call on that right there. Let's see. Yep, Sam for sure. Sam says, is the InvestorCarrot guide available to all members? 100% yes. The only thing that's not available to all members, Sam, is our mastermind calls, our weekly mastermind calls like this. Usually we do a mastermind call every week. One is on like pay-per-click one week, and then we'll do one on SEO, and we'll dive in and do a diagnosis call. So those are the only things that are only for Content Pro members. And the reason for that is we need to limit them just to a group of people because if we had 100 people on our mastermind calls, 400 people on our mastermind calls, they could get kind of unwieldy. And also, we have built so many of the tools into the Content Pro plan that we talk about on the mastermind calls. We want to make sure that the people that are on the mastermind calls have the ability to use the tools we're talking about. But the value, I mean, we have people literally saying that, man, I've got one website and I'm on the Content Pro plan just because the weekly mastermind calls have changed it for me. Yep, so very valuable. Okay. Yeah, Brandon says, is there a link to Jobs' statement available? Man, you know what? This is what you need to do right here. There's a YouTube video. So Steve Jobs, Stanford commencement speech. Okay. I would highly suggest everyone to watch this. Okay. So just Google that, Steve Jobs, Stanford commencement speech, and you can watch the full 15-minute or so commencement speech he gave in 2006 that has that statement in it. So that's where I got that. That's where I got that quote out of it. Is from that commencement speech. Okay. So it's an amazing speech, guys. And that right there can fire you up alone for this next year. Okay. Yeah, Tim says sometimes it's hard to figure out why I didn't achieve certain goals. Dude, you need to always look at it, celebrate what you did achieve, look at the things you didn't, and then, like I said, work backwards and go, okay, what were the bottlenecks that prevented me from doing that. Okay, I didn't do enough deals. Did I get enough leads to do that? Okay, well, no, I didn't get enough leads, so the lead volume is the bottleneck. Now you know what you need to tackle. Or yeah, I got the leads. You get the idea there. Okay, if one of your goals is fitness, and you're like, man, I only lost 6 pounds, and I was looking to lose 20. What's the deal? And you go, okay. So what were the important things about fitness? Did I work out enough, and did I eat right? Right. So you dive into the eating part and go, okay, what was eating the bottleneck from me losing the weight that I set out to be? Okay, well, did I track my eating? Did I eat too many calories? Blah blah blah. You might find immediately that eating is the bottleneck. As soon as you started trimming down your calories and were more conscious of what you eat, then your weight's going to start slipping off. And maybe it's the other thing. Maybe it's like, man, I nailed my eating. But maybe the workout, maybe it wasn't the amount of time I worked out. Maybe the workout I was doing was not the fat burning type of workout. So I need to go to a personal trainer so they can get me the right type of workout. That's the bottleneck. Okay. Yeah. Let me display that slide for sure, Brandon. There you go. Okay. Greg says amplifying leaders. Are you question mark? Are you kidding? Never heard that phrase before. Awesome, dude. That literally, I've came to that in the last year and a half. That's what I'm really excited about, is being my purpose in life right now in this season of my life. I love it. I love it. And then Matt says, considering hiring GenWeb to do SEO and pay-per-click for me, do you have any testimonials aside from Justin that have had success with them? So Matt, we've definitely had on both sides, and one of our core values here at Carrot's transparency. So we have definitely had people on the pay-per-click side not have the result that they wanted. Sometimes it was the client's lack of ability to stick with the long-term plan and have too much of a short-term expectation. Sometimes the market was really hard and the leads just weren't there. Okay, and that's in pay-per-click in general. On the SEO side of things, Matt's team has been able to get some rankings that I had never thought that were insanely hard, some of the toughest ones in the country. Okay, he's been helping Josh on some things. He got a #1 ranking just recently. It took about 9 months to get there in the Portland, Oregon market. The guy's doing well now. He got a #1 ranking for We Buy Houses Houston in the Houston market. It took him 11 months to get that, which is a realistic time frame. So Matt's team crushes on the SEO. They're very good on the pay-per-click, but there is some people who haven't had the experience they're looking for. But what I would suggest is on the SEO side of things, Matt's team is not cheap, but they're very good. If you were to hire my team for it, which we only take on 3 to 4 high-end clients at a time, it's probably going to be about double what Matt charges, because we do some other things. We do video marketing stuff in there as well, and we're only doing them for people who are already doing 20 plus deals a year, just to mix in with their current marketing. But their team is insanely good at SEO. Okay, and I can say that with 100% confidence. And they're very good at pay-per-click. Just some of the processes, some clients like another person's pay-per-click process better than theirs. Okay, some pay-per-click practitioners, they start small. They start very, very narrow with a very low budget, and they build the budget up as you go, and refine things. And as you go, your budget gets bigger and you spend more. I know what Matt's team does in their strategy, and it works in a lot of markets. In some markets, it doesn't work as well, is they tend to cast a wide net at the start, okay, see what's working, then as quickly as they can peel the budget back. So that's been the main complaint from some people, is that they've gone through a lot of click costs in the first month during that optimization phase, okay? So you definitely have to have a strong stomach for pay-per-click, because you're going to be paying a good hunk of money for pay-per-click management, and then you've got to be in it for 3 to 6 months minimum to let the process work. Okay, and we have had some people who have gone in there and said, hey, I'm in 2 months in, they're not getting the result that they want, and they leave, or they say, hey, I only have X amount carved out in my budget. I'm like, guys, you need to have full on 6 months carved out in your budget minimum for pay-per-click, and let the process work. Okay, no micromanagement on the month-to-month basis. But Matt's team does very good. Another company that does very good that I would suggest you guys look at is AdWords Nerds. Tell Dan with AdWords Nerds I sent you. I don't make any money by doing that, but he's the CEO. He does pay-per-click for a lot of Carrot clients. Same thing. He's not cheap. He's very good, just like Matt's team, but he takes a different approach. Okay. So I would just talk to both of them, and like I said, tell Dan that I sent you. But as far as SEO goes, I don't send anyone else. I don't send anyone for SEO to anyone else than Matt. Pay-per-click, there's a few people that I'll send people to, just depending on the market you're in and stuff like that. Okay. Philip, awesome, man. Thanks. Philip says your transparency is the reason I joined InvestorCarrot. Man, it means a lot. And so when I kind of go back, I'm going to end the call right in 6 minutes, so we get everyone on their way, because I've got to go too. Since we're on Christmas vacation with the family. But man, when I said what I said earlier was, when it's light, it's right. Like, transparency just feels light. Everything feels right when you're transparent, when you're putting yourself out there, the good and the bad. So that's why we do it. Honestly, it just feels better. It's the right thing to do. Oh, I'm sorry. Brandon said Mass PPC is the company. No, so Matt, M-A-T-T, he's the CEO of this company called Generation Web. So if you go to our Carrot Marketplace, he's the one that you're going to connect with for SEO or pay-per-click. Okay? So his company, or AdWords Nerds, which, like I said, tell Dan with AdWords Nerds I sent you if you guys go talk with him. He's a great guy. He works with a lot of our Carrot clients as well. Josh, how do I learn more about the video marketing you guys do? Yeah, man. So Adrian and I are talking about that, 'cause as we're hiring a new team member right now to further beef up our customer support team, our customer experience team, and part of our aim is getting Adrian to pull more and more out of daily customer support and more into higher end strategy. And part of that is going to be, we're going to be taking on, because we haven't been taking on a high end client for probably 6 months. We said no to it for 6 months so we could focus on certain other projects that were more important. And then now toward the start of this year, we're going to take on another couple of them. And it's not cheap. We won't go and just do like a la carte video marketing, but it is something that we're going to start implementing. So either keep an eye out in the marketplace for the a la carte video marketing, or reach out to me and we can kind of talk through it and see if it's a fit. Tim, how long should you do direct mail campaign before you give up on it? Spent $2K and 5,000 postcards and didn't get a deal, deciding whether it's worth trying. Yeah, man, same thing. Look at the bottlenecks. So number one, did you get calls? Okay. And that's one mailing, right? So look at the bottlenecks here, Tim. So you sent 5,000 postcards. So what are the variables there? The message on the postcard's a variable. Where you sent them is a variable. The addresses on the list are a variable. Were they good addresses? Were they the right part of town, the right type of owner? The timing that you sent them is a variable, because winter's a little bit tougher to get someone to want to sell their house unless they're really, really motivated. So look at all those variables, and definitely don't give up on the first mailing. Okay. What you might do is, rather than another 2K mailing, you might go, let me scale it back to $500 or $800 mailing, get more targeted with my mailing. So if you just didn't get the phone calls, like if you got 400 phone calls but it didn't turn into a deal, obviously your postcard was pretty effective in getting people to take action. So you need to look at the bottleneck of, okay, why didn't I turn one of those into a deal? And find out your call qualifying process, your deal making process, whatever. If you just didn't get very many phone calls, go, okay, maybe next time I test out 3 different types of postcards. Okay, different messages on each one. So you're kind of doing split testing to see what works the best. Okay, and also you have to remember this with marketing, guys and gals, is that with marketing, oftentimes it takes, and studies have shown this, oftentimes it takes 5 to 7 touches to a prospect before they will actually do business with you. And this is why it's so important that people don't stop their marketing with the first touch, with the second touch. Okay, it's that person who does the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 touches to a prospect that's going to squeeze that deal out. Okay, it's the people who do one effort of it. They throw in their pay-per-click campaign for a month, and they go through $1,000 and they give up. That's the people that end up going broke from it. Okay, but each time you need to make sure that we're iterating and improving. Okay, so I definitely wouldn't take the same mail out to the same list again. Change some stuff. Send out 2 or 3 different versions of the postcard and put a different tracking phone number and tracking URL on it, so you know where the leads came from. Okay. Or change the addresses, change the process on your answering the phone calls, stuff like that. Brandon, great 2 hours. Trevor, gotta go. FY, competency is the ability to dance during breakdown. I love it, man. And Sonny says, how much does GenWeb charge for SEO per month? So it varies, Sonny. It really varies depending on really varies depending on your market. Okay, so if you're in a market like let's say you're in a small market under 50,000 population. Okay, it's going to be a lot easier and less time consuming to get a page one ranking, a top 5 ranking in that market, versus trying to rank in the top 3 in Google for, let's say, a city with 500,000 people in it. Okay, so there's all these factors that go in. There's all these factors of how much competition is there, how much time is it likely going to take, blah 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 blah. The more competition, the more time it's going to take, it's going to cost more. But it's anywhere from about $700 to $800 a month, I think, maybe even as low as $500 a month for a very small city, to upwards of $1,500 a month, $1,800 a month for a market like, let's say, Houston, a market like Phoenix. Okay, so somewhere in between. But Josh on this call can definitely attest to it. And Josh isn't the only one. The number one lead generation source, guys and gals, for InvestorCarrot members this entire past year was search engine optimization. And you guys are pulling in well over 20,000 leads a month when you count phone call leads. Okay, so if you look at those numbers, over 20,000 leads a month, and over 60% of those came from SEO. And you guys are crushing it on deals. SEO is an insanely effective lead generation source. The thing is, it takes patience. It takes time. It takes a budget of money or time, and it's for the person with the long-term mindset, the person who's in it to invest for the long-term ROI. Josh, if you're still on here, if you don't mind sharing, how many months were you doing the SEO stuff and having us help you with it? Because you did some of your own, you had us help you with some of them. How long were you doing your SEO in the California market, which is very competitive, before you started to get some leads, maybe your first couple SEO leads? And then after that, if you're still on here, Josh, how long did it take to really close your first deal with SEO? And then fast forward to today, half of all of his deals, or half of his revenue in 2015 came from SEO. Yeah, so Josh says SEO leads took about 6 months to get real consistent leads. So, but now what's happening, guys, is while he had a higher investment of time and money up front, that ROI, the return on investment, goes up almost exponentially. Okay, once you get those rankings, because as you go, the idea is that you're not going to be paying for $1,800 a month for SEO forever. You pay for it, get the good ranking, hopefully, and then you can kind of scale it back a little bit so it's more kind of proactive, keeping you there SEO. And then some people just completely turn off having someone do the SEO for them. It's kind of like maintenance stuff, just hopping in on a mastermind call every now and then, saying, hey, what should I do to make sure I retain this ranking? Hey, what should I do here? Hey, I popped down 2 rankings. What should I do? And it keeps you there. So your ROI just keeps going up and up and up. And then Josh says, so it took about 6 months in his market to get consistent leads. And that's not just turning on a Carrot website and walking away. That's showing up to the mastermind calls, going through the 3 lead per day, implementing what we teach, asking lots of questions. And then he got so busy, he ended up just paying us to do part of it. And that helped him really bump him up higher. Because I think, Josh, if I'm correct, you were on page 1. You got to page 1 yourself. And then we kind of bumped you up from, we bumped you up to page, from where you were on page 1 to higher, like to where you are now is number 1 in Bakersfield. All the other ones, man, you've just been busting your butt. So he says now we're getting leads almost every day, and most are qualified leads. Yeah, so we took you about from number 3 or 5 to number 1. And you did most of the work. That's the thing. It's like you did the 80% of the work. We came in with the expertise, knowledge, and being able to look at certain things. Kind of like a plumber walks in and they see this issue, and it looks like it's a really simple fix to you. Kind of like the whole adage: plumber walks in, takes out their hammer, looks at your leak. They hit your pipe one time really hard. They whip out an invoice. They write you up an invoice, and it's for $75, and they were there for 3 minutes. And you look at it and say, $75 is highway robbery. Now on an itemized invoice, where did the $75 come? You were here for a minute and a half and hit the hammer one time. And a plumber takes it out the invoice and writes next to it, itemized invoice. 70, $5 for wear and tear on my hammer, $70 for knowing where to hit. That's kind of what it was for us to take you from 3 to 5 to 1. Is like identifying those things, making those tweaks, seeing what happens, and going. Okay. And yeah, he's closing consistent deals now. So yeah, guys. So on the SEO side of things, Sonny, go to the marketplace, and then go to right here, learn more, and then set up a consultation with Matt. He's the CEO of this company of Generation Web, and he's the guy who's gotten a lot of those really great rankings. Like I said, you got to go into it with a long-term mindset. Do not expect any leads or any results from SEO, especially if you're in a competitive market within the first 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Okay, if you're cool with that expectation and you're investing in it for the long term, then definitely set up an appointment with them. But you're, like I said, it's the next 6 months after that, the next 12 months after that is when you really start to see the magic happen. Awesome, guys. Well, I'm going to bounce. I've got to get going. Got to go and get some shopping done. We're making some chili here at the house. We do it every year, invite some friends over and have some fun. But I appreciate the heck out of you guys. And this is probably the longest mastermind call you guys have experienced the past 6 months. Since Adrian's been doing them, he's a lot more concise than I am. But I'm very passionate about this topic, and I'm very passionate about making sure that I can amplify leaders. I can amplify you guys to do bigger and better things in your lives so you can go out there and do the same thing in your communities, in your business, in your families. And if any of this resonated with you, awesome, implement it. Before you leave this call, guys, schedule your quarterly offsite within the next 7 days to focus on Q1. That's an entire day, no distractions, no email, no Facebook, no anything except for unplugged, no distraction, focusing about your first quarter. Okay? And build in a lot. If you haven't finished this stuff that I've gone through, build it in. We'll have the worksheet up tomorrow with the replay. And let's make 2016 an amazing year. And like I said, keep on engaging our mastermind calls and asking us questions. We're here to help you. All right, guys. Take it easy. Have an amazing Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate. And we'll talk to you in the new year. Thank you. Take it easy.